See your phone gonna vibrate.
Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done in earth
thy will be done on earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord,
For he is good,
for he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
For he is good,
for he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel,
The Holy One of Israel,
the King of kings,
the King of kings,
and Lord of lords,
and the Lord of lords,
the one true God,
the one true God,
and there is no other.
there is no other.
Amen.
Amen.
O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsts for thee. My flesh longs for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary. Because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. Thus will I bless thee while I live. I will lift up my hands in thy name. My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips. I just read you Psalm 63, verses 1 through 5. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now we have selection.
Yes. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadows of turning with thee. Thou changest not thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thine hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature and manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercies, and love. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thine hand has provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. 'Tis so sweet to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his kindness, just to know thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. I'm so glad I've learned to trust him. Precious Jesus, Savior and friend, and I know that thou art with me, will be with me till the end. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Oh, for grace to trust him more.
I'll get another round of applause. Like I said, happy Sabbath to everybody that's here today. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath to peace in Jesus' name, everybody that's watching online as well. So as y'all can tell from the title of the class, is called Sign of the Times, Current Events. And we're going to look at this today. I brought a pen up here. Oh, here it is. We're going to look at this today because, you know, as you go throughout life and you have any idea of the Word of God, a religion, period, it's almost as if we've been brought up not necessarily in the truth, but we've been brought up with the fear of God in one way, shape, or form. And you may not understand everything that you see in the Bible, like a lot of us, you know, we didn't understand the mark of the beast, the Great Tribulation, Antichrist, things of that sort. You know, we heard about it, but we never really were taught about this stuff. You know, so when things start unfolding, as we get closer and closer to the return of the Lord, we can start, we start to hear things starting to come to pass. And what this does is it kind of, you know, sparks back memories of what you were, you know, told about as a child, or, you know, being brought up in religious institutions, especially Christianity. So it just kind of, you know, bring back to the forefront of some of the things that you have been told about. But if you don't understand completely what this is talking about, or when this stuff comes to pass, you really won't know how to deal with it. Like for instance, there was an incident that took place earlier this month regarding the company in Wisconsin, and their thing was that they was going. I think they have 85 employees, and they were going to put RFID chip in, I think 50 of them. So I believe August 1st, this past week, they had a RFID chip party. You can look it up online. They had a chipping party where they actually, you see it on video, where they actually putting the chip inside their hand. This is in Wisconsin. A few years ago, might have been in Australia. They talked about it, how even in the music industry and stuff like that, certain people would actually have these particular devices inside their body already. But when it comes to the forefront, when it comes close to home, people begin to ask questions and start to wonder, is this actually it? Is this the mark of the beast? Is this the great tribulation and stuff like that? And, what I can say is, it's not the mark of the beast, okay? The mark of the beast is going to actually take place during a particular time, which we know is called the Great Tribulation. Great Tribulation is going to be for 3.5 years. And it's going to mainly be when the Pope of Rome, whoever this Pope is, it may not be this particular Pope, because we still got some prophecies that have to be fulfilled. But it's going to come from that office. The Lord's going to allow this man to take down the world for 3.5 years. And during that time, this is when you're going to have to make a choice. You're either going to accept this mark in your right hand or in your forehead. So what you see happening right now, that's not it, because we're nowhere near. We're getting close to it now. We ain't in the Great Tribulation yet, but we definitely going down a steep slope toward it. So that's one thing we have to understand. Another thing is that even though it's not the mark of the beast, what I do want you to understand is that they're desensitizing and getting you ready for a time where you're gonna have to put something inside your body in order for you to buy or sell and things of that sort. You see, 20, 30 years ago, it was far-fetched. It's far-fetched to the point where, you wouldn't even think about putting something inside of your body. Nowadays, it's here. All the stuff that we learned about as kids, you got to take 666 and all that type of stuff. Well, it's coming, sisters and brothers. This type of stuff that you see happening, that I mentioned, it's getting you ready. And like I said last week, the best way to boil a frog, the best way to cook a frog is to boil them slow. And that's exactly what you see going on. They just implementing this stuff real slow, but really it's fast. And also, with the different homosexuality that you see happening in the world, all this stuff right here are signs that the Lord has left for us to be able to determine his return. So I understand, we hear different things like this with the chip and all that type of stuff. It's scary, don't get me wrong. But there's particular things that we have to look forward to actually show us that we're getting close and close to the coming of the Lord. So I have a few articles today. Last week I read them in Atlanta, and it kind of drained me. I'm not going to read them today. What I'm going to do, I'll make reference to where they are. I have the articles to prove it. If you guys want to look at it after class, you can. I'll pass around the room how you want to do it, but I ain't reading all them articles. It's just too many. A few years ago when I taught it, just being overzealous, I might have overdid it. And I think I realized that last week, 3 years later, once I taught it again. So like I said, I have the articles. You'll be able to look at it for yourself. But we're going to open this up in Matthew chapter 12. We're going to pick this up at verse 43. Signs of the time, current events. Because all the things that you see happening around you, it does us all some good to pay attention. It's like, like the Bible gave us reference to a thief breaking in the house. If you know the thief was coming, then you're going to sit up and you're going to wait for him to come, right? So you can defend your house. Well, if you know he's coming, you're not going to be caught off guard. Well, the same with the word of God. Regarding the coming of the Lord and all the destruction that's getting ready to come, if you're paying attention, if you constantly getting fed the word of God and you're being taught about the stuff that's unfolding, hey, when it starts happening, you won't be surprised about it. But it's definitely going to be a bad time. We walking right down into it, sisters and brothers. And that's the job of the preachers, to make sure we put this information out here so you can prepare yourself. Because see, like I said, a lot of people like to say, I got faith, I believe in God, I die for God, and so on and so forth. Peter said the same thing. And, when they told him, you was with Jesus, he was like, man, I don't know who he is. They came at him again. He's like, nah. And the last time he denied Jesus was 3 times, he cussed him out. Bible tell you, he cursed and sweared, demanding that he ain't know who Jesus was. So it's a different ball game when your life on the line. You understand? And that's why it's so important for you to make sure you constantly in the Word of God to build your faith up. That way, when you get to a situation when it comes time to, beheading, because that's coming, sister, brother. Whether you like it or not, want to hear it or not, it really don't matter. The point is that the Bible say the saints gonna be beheaded for the witness of Jesus. So we saying that we believe in God and all that type of stuff. Well, you're gonna have to be inside the Bible to get your faith built up for this time that's coming on earth, sister, brother. So we're gonna start this off in Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12. And let's pick this up at verse 43. Matthew 12 and verse 43. When you get that, Nate, go ahead and read that.
When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walked through dry places seeking rest and find none. Then he said, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he find it empty, swept, and garnished.
Right, so what it's talking about right here? It's just talking about a spirit that's inside of a man. In this particular case, we're talking about an unclean spirit. You know what I'm saying? And just keep in mind, when you look at different spirits in the Bible, you have all different types of spirits. Like these words that I'm speaking to you, that's spirit. That's why the Lord tell you in John chapter 6, in verse 63, it's the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profit nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So words are also spirit, and you also got evil spirits. You also got the breath of life. That's the spirit also. But in this case right here, we talking about a spirit that was in this man. Something that was something that he was listening to, advising him in a sense. It said when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walked through dry places seeking rest and find none. So he done left this man, and now he trying to walk somewhere, walking around trying to find somebody else to jump into. Then the spirit, verse 44 says, then he say, I will return into my house. In other words, I'm going to go back into that man who I came out of. Go ahead and read.
And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished.
And that's why, if the unclean spirit come out of you, you want to put that word inside of you so that unclean spirit don't have an opportunity to come back. But he come back to this man, he find that, he's empty, swept, and garnished. What else? Verse 45.
Then go he and take with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
Right, so not only did the unclean spirit come out of the man and go walk around looking for somebody else to jump into, but he also didn't find nobody to come into, so he went back into the previous man that he came out of. And this time he brought 7 other wicked spirits with him. So he's saying, then go he and take with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and do what?
They enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first.
Right, so hey, he was already bad from the jump, but now he's even worse than he was before. He's 8 times worse than he was before. He says they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. Go ahead and read.
Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation.
And that's what the Lord was actually comparing this to. The Lord talking parables and give you little examples, analogies and stuff like that. And that's what this was. This was an analogy of the Lord telling you about a man, that had an unclean spirit. Unclean spirit come up out of this man, and then the unclean spirit come back with 7 other spirits. Well, what he was saying was that's how this generation is going to be in the end. See, we're going to go back today. We'll look at Noah, we'll look at Lot and see how it was in their time. Yeah, it was bad back then. But what God is saying, but the generation that's coming, it's going to be 8 times worse than how it was back then. And that's where we are right now, sisters and brothers. Some of the things that happen now in our time, we may think, well, man, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is going on. It amazes me how we can watch death and record it on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I never thought we'd get to this time. But that's why the Bible tells you, Matthew chapter 24, the love of many shall, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And that's what didn't happen. Sin is, gotten out of hand right now, so ain't really no love going on in the world today. I remember, years ago when I was coming up, I see, riding with my dad, we'll see somebody on the side of the road that need a ride. He'll stop and give him a ride and wouldn't think twice about it. Nowadays, you can't do that. I want to give you a ride. I don't know if you're going to get me, and They don't know if I'm gonna get them. So you know what? The best thing for me to do is I'm gonna keep on riding, you keep on walking. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it ain't got that bad. You see, time has gotten a whole lot worse, and it lets you know that we getting down to the end of the world, sisters and brothers. All right, so now let's go into Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16. Because you got to just think about it. When all the different things that happened during the time of Noah, during the time of Lot, sin had got to a point where the Lord had to actually go ahead and, stop it, sisters and brothers. And that's exactly where we're getting at right now. The sin is getting so bad that the Lord get ready to come on back and stop it. You see, and you may not believe in the Bible, you may not believe in the Word, but hey, it's gonna happen whether you believe it or not. But it gotta stop at some point. If it don't stop, hey, the man, if you done twist this whole thing up. It's bad enough marriage between the man and the woman ain't right no more in the eyes of society. How you gonna try to compare a man and a man to a man and a woman being married? When the Lord say, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and they two shall become one flesh. You can't get that with two men. You can't get that with two women, sisters and brothers. You see, we got a problem, and that's the whole reason why the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, because of the sodomy that was going on. But we're gonna look at that. Matthew chapter 16. Go and pick this up at verse 1.
The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven.
Mm-hmm.
He answered and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red.
Right, and really, they want to see a sign from heaven, but if you notice what it says, it said they tempted him. It ain't like they really cared about it and nothing like that. But, Jesus was always going back and forth with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They really didn't care. They matter of fact, they had him killed. But these are your religious people. Just like the day of Jesus came back, they'll do the same thing. Messing with the money and stopping the preachers from getting rich. They're going to shut all that down. They'll try to hang him again, crucify him again. But he said the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempted, designed him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, you say it'll be fair weather. You look outside and you be able to look at the different things that you see in the sky. Like, for instance, we see some dark clouds come through. Yeah, it's going to rain today. You know what I'm saying? If it's get up in the morning, nice and bright outside, more likely we're going to have a nice sunny day. Well, that's what Jesus is saying, right? He said, when it is evening, you say it'll be fair weather, for the sky is red. Verse 3, go ahead and read.
And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering.
Mm-hmm.
O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the time? Right,
and remember now, they trying to, ask him about a sign from heaven. And this is what you want to make sure that you're able to do, to discern the signs of the time. Forget all that other stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, they trip on the blood moons and all that type of stuff. Listen, you want to question everything. I understand what I heard, what JD was saying last week, what he was saying about the scientists and stuff like that, as far as not questioning them. In other words, you got, spend more time in the Word of God. But you still need to question everything. Question me, question everything. Scientists, because scientists tell you that what the earth, the sun revolves around the earth. I mean, the earth revolves around the sun. That's what they tell you. But I can take you to Joshua chapter 10, where Joshua prayed to the Lord, and the Lord stopped the sun from moving, the sun and the moon from moving, so he can see his enemies, so he can come whoop up on his enemies. So if the earth was rotating around the sun, what I'm saying, then why didn't the Lord stop the earth from moving? The Lord stopped the sun and the moon from moving around the earth. So you question everything, sister and brother. That's all he was saying. All right, but like here, you say a wicked in the you cannot discern the signs of the time, but you can you can talk about all the different things we see, like with John Hagee and stuff like that. He came out with the 4 blood moons, and everybody was tripping on that. Like the world gonna come to the end. No, the Lord gave us signs in the Bible. It's only one time where we see that the moon gonna go down in blood. You ain't gonna have 4 blood moon systems, bro. When the moon go down in the blood and the moon ain't gonna give a light, the sun gonna go down also. Hey, that's at the return, right when the Lord get ready to set foot on his earth system, bro. Up until that time, you need to pay attention and watch the different signs that the Lord gave us. That's why he saying what he's saying to the Pharisees here. He said, "Ye hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the time?" Read verse 4.
A wicked and adulterous generation seek after a sign.
Right, that's why they like the bending hands and stuff like that. They like the preachers throwing coats and slapping people across the face with it. They like them different signs. It can't just be as simple as, let's just open up the Bible. Let's read what God say. And, like back in my day, they used to say, God said it, I believe it, that settles it. That was the motto back then. Well, that should be the motto that God said it, the word of God says it. Either you believe it or not, but at the end of the day, it still settles the situation, period. Just opening up the Bible. We don't need to see no different signs and all that. I don't need to see somebody coming doing miracles and stuff like that. All I need to see what the Bible said. He said, "A wicked and adulterous generation seek after a sign." Go ahead and read.
"And there shall be no sign given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
And he left them and departed."
Right. So mainly what he was saying to them, I ain't gonna give you no sign. The only sign you're gonna get is I'm gonna be in the heart of the earth 3 days and 3 nights, like Jonah was in the heart of the earth, in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights. So as we move on, there's no possible way you can get Easter from Friday to early Sunday morning. That's not 3 days and 3 nights, sisters and brothers. All right, Jesus died in the middle of the week and got up before the Sabbath day was over with. All right, 3 days and 3 nights. That's real simple. People got all these different degrees and stuff like that and still can't get to 3. 3 days and 3 nights. That means it's going to be 3 24-hour days. 12 hours in the daytime, 12 hours in the nighttime. Going to give you 1 full day. That's why I tell you in Genesis chapter 1, what an evening and a morning make a day. All right? Not 12 o'clock midnight. That's not a new day. It's the middle of the night. Turn over to Genesis chapter 6. It's a simple thing. It's simple with the word of God, sisters and brothers. It's real simple with the word. But we done got down to a time where we can't just, we just can't take it for what it is. So what it does is it makes the Bible hard to believe. Because when you sit up there and say, well, this don't mean that, or this don't mean that, then it discredits the Bible. Even though the Bible not saying that. That's why I meet many people that don't want to have nothing to do with the Bible. But it's not the Bible that's the problem. It's the man that's the problem. Man is the one who gave you all these different doctrines, Baptist and Pentecostal, and you can't read none of this stuff in the Bible. You can read, that John was baptizing. You can read in Acts chapter 1, Acts chapter 2 that the Jews went up on the day of Pentecost, and we can see in Leviticus that they kept Pentecost. You see, but you don't see religions based off of this stuff. Man gave you that, sisters and brothers. And because of that, this is why people don't want to deal with the word, because man is lying on the Bible. But the Bible's always been the same. And it's not going to change. All right, so Genesis chapter 6, go and pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead and read.
"And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years.
Now, what we're looking at right here, this is, first off, you go to, Genesis all the way down to chapter 5. You're going to look at how the Lord created the earth and all that. Then we go into Adam, Genesis chapter 5, we're going to Adam and his lineage. Then to tell you about Cain and his lineage and stuff like that a little bit. We can pick right back up at Seth. And Seth had a son that was Enos. And then to tell you at the end of Genesis chapter 4 that when Enos was born, men began to call on the name of the Lord. All right? And this is where you get your sons of God from, because some people actually, when they get to Genesis 6 here, we talking about sons of God, what happened is they say, well, these are angels or the Nephilim. They actually slept with women. So this is why you had giants back in the day. Now, we talking about sons of God. We talking about all the sons that came out of Adam that did not get disinherited. All right? So matter of fact, go over to Luke chapter 3 right quick. We'll come right back. And I can do this because I'm removing them articles. Them articles are pretty long. So I'm going to just take those out, but that give me a little leeway here. Luke chapter 3. And this way, you'll be able to understand when you see sons of God in the Bible, sometimes it's talking about angels, But in this particular case here, we're not talking about angels. All right? In this case right here, we're talking about actually flesh and blood men. So Luke chapter 3. Go and pick this up. This is after Jesus got baptized, and it goes into naming his lineage. It started listing off his lineage. I'm sorry. It started listing his lineage after he got baptized. So Luke chapter 3, go and pick this up in verse 35. Y'all can read that on your own. You'll be able to read through it and see. But we just getting down to verse 38. That's what I want to get to. So start at verse 35. Now you start at 34. Go ahead.
Which was the son of Jacob.
Now we know who Jacob is, right? Mm-hmm. Jacob is, the patriarch of the 12 tribes of Israel. So he said, which was the son of Jacob, which was what else?
The son of Isaac,
Uh-huh.
which was the son of Abraham.
Right, so we know who that is. All right. So this is, this is who walking down from here. Which is the son of Abraham, which was the son of Thara, which was the son of Nahor. What else?
Which was the son of Sarah,
Uh-huh.
which was the son of Ragal,
Mm-hmm.
which was the son of Phalec,
Mm-hmm.
which was the son of Heber, which was the son of Salah,
Mm-hmm.
which was the son of Canaan, which was the son of Arphaxad,
And we're not talking about Canaan. All right. Talking about Canaan. Go ahead.
which was the son of Arphaxad,
Mm-hmm.
which was the son of Sem,
And that's just talking about Shem. All right. That's when when it translates like that, you lose the H, but we still talking about Shem. All right, so it says which is the son of Shem, which was the son of who?
No,
Which is Noah. All right, go ahead.
which was the son of Lamech,
Uh-huh.
which was the son of Methuselah,
Mm-hmm.
which was the son of Enoch,
Uh-huh.
which was the son of Jared,
Go ahead.
which is the son of
Malalel.
Malaleel, which was the son of Canaan,
Mm-hmm.
which was the son of Enos.
And this is where it pick up in Genesis chapter 4. It'll tell you about Enos being the son of Seth. All right, but it said which was the son of Enos, which was the son of who?
Seth,
Uh-huh.
which was the son of Adam,
Which was the son of Adam. So we taking it all the way back to Genesis, right? Back to the beginning, which was the son of Enos. Enos was Genesis chapter 4. It tell you that men began to call on the name of the Lord at the end of when Seth had Enos, right? That's what it tell you. You go back to Genesis chapter 4, the last two verses, you'll see it. So it's saying here, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of who?
Adam.
Adam. Now, if you notice now, Cain ain't there no more. See, Cain was the son of Adam, but what? He got disinherited from the covenant. So he ain't listed here. And Abel got killed. All right? So the next one in line here, which was the son of Seth, which was the son of Adam. And who was Adam? The son of what?
The son of God.
Which was the son of God. I'll read it sleeping. It said, which was the son of God. All right? So it's just going to show you that when we talking about the sons of God, all the time it ain't talking about angels. Just like we go back over to Genesis chapter 6, we just talking about flesh and blood men. And these sons of God that came out of Adam, hey, they called the name of the Lord, but they start mixing with the daughters of men. In other words, they start mixing with Cain's seed. You see? And when they start mixing with Cain's seed, the Lord paid attention to that. Like, okay, well, if I'm giving you my word and you sitting up here listening to these women, that ain't dealing with my word. They're going to end up pulling you away from my word. And the Lord had to do something about that. That's why he be so adamant about, not marrying people that don't deal with the truth. See, people like to say it got something to do with race. They got to do with race for God. God bigger than that. God don't like you dealing with his word and marrying somebody that's not dealing with his word. That's why Solomon was dealing with the word for a long time. When he got old, what happened? He ended up messing with all them other women and started building different gods and stuff, different idols and stuff like that. But he was doing good when he in his younger days. You go to Deuteronomy chapter 7, you see when the Lord brought Israel out of captivity and he was getting ready to take them into the land of the Canaanites. He told them, don't give your sons and daughters to their people to be married. But guess what? Israel black, and the people that he was talking about was a black nation of people also. It ain't got nothing to do with color. It's about you serving these other gods. If I'm giving you my word, don't give your sons and daughters to these other people to marry them. They're going to end up taking them away from them. You see, and that's what the Lord was talking about. But it says in verse 1, we're going to read it again from the top. It came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters was born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair. So the sons of God came out of Adam. They saw that Cain's lineage of daughters was fair, or pretty in other words. And they took them wives of all which they chose. Verse 3, go ahead and read that.
And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh.
Right, so that eliminates angels right there. See, angels ain't flesh and blood, sisters and brothers. Angels are celestial beings. They come from their heavenly beings. We're terrestrial. Y'all ever heard of E.T.? Extraterrestrial? Y'all remember that? Well, he was just extra, but we terrestrial. We flesh and blood. We from this earth. Angels ain't from this earth. You know, God ain't from this earth. They celestial beings. All right, so he's saying here, my spirit shall not always strive with man, but that he also is flesh. Yet what?
His days shall be 120 years.
So at this point, what the Lord is doing, you know, mankind, his time being around, you know, 1,000. Listen, man was never supposed to die, sisters and brothers. Man was supposed to live forever. So when you go back in the Bible, you see that some brothers lived 900. Methuselah, the oldest man in the Bible, 969 years old. Yeah, he actually lived 969 years. People like to say, well, no, it couldn't have been the same time. Like, no, it was exactly the same time. You know, Abraham lived, Noah lived 900 some years. But when sin came around, the Lord started cutting his time down. That's why he's saying here, he said, what? The Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So instead of you living to 900 years old and stuff like that, I'm going to cut you down to 120 years. And that's what he did with man. Then you go in Psalms chapter 90, verses 4 and 5, you see that, first off, the day to the Lord is 1,000 years. All right, 1,000 years is one day. So when the Lord told Adam and Eve that the day you eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you shall surely die, man died. Now they didn't die you know, within a 24-hour day, but a day to the Lord is 1,000 years. What man in the Bible you know lived to be 1,000? No man. Oldest man was 969 years old because the Lord said the day you eat of the tree, you're going to die. So the word ain't a flaw. Man just don't understand. The day of the Lord is a long time. It ain't the same as our time. But after he cut our time down to 120 years, then he cut it down to 70 years. That's what he tell you in Psalm chapter 9. And he say, if you make it to 80, it's going to be by reason of strength, but it's going to be hell. You know, your back going to be bent over, you're bending over. Why? Because you're going right back to the grave. Your feet going to be hurting, your knees going to be hurting. You barely going to make it. Because that's what happened with, that's why the Bible tell you the wages of sin is death, sister and brother. See, if sin would have never came on the scene, we would have been living forever. That's why he tell you that, John 3:16. No, this is what Jesus came to die for, to bring everlasting life back to this earth. That's why he went into the grave for 3 days and 3 nights and got up with what? With everlasting life. He was showing you this is what's going to happen to you if you keep my commandments. But needless to say, he cut our time down to 70 years. And, you know, a lot of us only make it that far. You know, by the time you get around 60, 70, you know, the majority of people done had back problems, heart problems, done experienced tumors or something like that. Because, hey, that corruption's setting in. And it's about time to go ahead and get ready to go. Why? Because the Lord done cut that time down. You see? But we ain't talking about that. We talking about man, flesh and blood man, and flesh and blood woman. One of them had the Spirit of God. The other one was dealing with, you know, not the Spirit of God. So go to read verse 4.
There were giants in the earth in those days.
And
also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men,
and
and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
Right, so now God looking down at the earth system, brother. And he say what? He said he saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And that's what we got to. Now remember now, you know, he said that during the time that we in, it's going to be 8 times worse than this. This is why it's funny to me how we can concoct. We come up with, you know, come with all these different things that the world is coming up with that I never thought I would hear this type of stuff. Like for instance, you know, a few weeks ago they were saying how on the MTV Awards it's gonna be genderless. It ain't gonna be no male category, ain't gonna be no female category. And I just say to myself, like, how much more can we go? Like, what else we gonna come up with next, man? Like, you wanted the gay rights, okay, you got that. Now we gotta take the gender away, so my daughter can't be a girl, my son can't be a boy. You see what I'm saying? But like the Bible's telling you that what? Evil was on the heart of men continually. Well, we done got back to that, sisters and brothers. But remember, it's 8 times worse than it was back then. See, it's a different generation. So we're going to hear some things, see some things we never thought we'd see, sisters and brothers. But it said God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. I mean, his mind is set on doing evil. No matter what, that's all we think of. They sleep with evil thoughts. Wake up with evil inventions, evil intentions, sisters and brothers. Because what? They got evil on their hearts continually. Go on and read, verse 6.
And he repented the Lord that he had made man.
Now you know that's bad when the Lord repented that he regret making this man. It said he repented the Lord that he had made man. Go ahead and read.
On the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
And that's what I wanted you to see, because, we got this grace doctrine going on, and mainly telling you can just live how you want to live, and, God will forgive you. He will forgive you, sisters and brothers, but you're going to have to pay. You keep on sinning. That's why Romans chapter 6 lets you know about, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? And Paul tell you, God forbid. Just because we got grace, that don't mean we continue in sin. As a matter of fact, now that you know you got grace, what you do is, now you don't sin. So you don't lose that grace. That's why I tell you another place, I think in Ephesians, that you don't want to frustrate the grace of God. But Noah found grace in our God, just like, in the end and the time that we coming in, hey, some of us going to find grace also in our God. But you got to, hope and pray that you found worthy of that grace. Because it ain't guaranteed that we're going to escape this great tribulation. That's why I tell you Matthew chapter 24, those who endure until the end, the same shall be saved. So that means you got to make it to the end. Now, you might be saved in your mind. Like, for instance, I'm saved from who I used to be. I don't live how I used to live. I ain't that same brother Nate. The Lord saved me from that. But I still ain't got that everlasting body. I still can die at any moment. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because we're looking forward to the whole, it's a two-part to being saved, sisters and brothers. First off, you got to get that, you got to be washed with the water or the word. That mind got to be cleaned up. And then the other thing that got to take place is you got to take on that everlasting body in order for you to get to the kingdom of God. When the Father get here, in order for you to get into that kingdom, you got to have an everlasting body. That's why Jesus was telling in John chapter 3 that you got to be born of the water and of the Spirit. The Spirit he was talking about that same type of body he got up when he came up from the grave. When he got up from the grave, man, shoot, he was busting through doors on him. They tell you that the Jews had the doors locked for fear. His disciples had the doors locked for fear of the Jews, and Jesus popped up in the room. He's like, peace be unto you. Hey, it's cool. You ain't never seen nothing like that. It's probably Jesus walked through that glass right now, you probably gonna freak out. But that's the spirit he was born. He was able to do that. And that's what you got to take on. So we saved in the mind right now, but we're looking forward to that that ultimate salvation, where we won't never have to worry about death and sickness and pain and crying and none of that no more. You see? That's that grace in addition to making it out of this troublesome time that we get ready to come into. But skip down to verse 11 and read that.
The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence.
Just like now, sisters and brothers. See, remember now, the reason why I started off with the Matthew, to show you where we at, to show you what the Lord is going to compare this thing to show you that we're not that far off from how it was back then. Matter of fact, it wasn't that many people on the earth. It was a lot of people back then, but I don't think it was compared to how it is now. We talking about anywhere from 7 to 8 billion people on earth at this time. You see, so it's a whole lot more worse than it was back then. But the Lord gave you that comparison between Noah's time and the time that we're living in right now. We're going to see that. But he said the earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Go on and read verse 13.
And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth.
Right, so because it is now, everybody got to die. All flesh got to die. But, when you talk about 8 people that the Lord saved compared to how many people he killed, that don't even compare. You know what I'm saying? It still cover mainly everybody. That's just like the Bible tell you that Satan deceived the whole world. It also tell you in Hebrews chapter 9 that it's appointed to every man to die once, after this the judgment. But all of us really ain't going to die. Now, the majority of man as a whole going to die. So that's what we mainly know. But some of us going to live to see the coming of the Lord. You see what I'm saying? But it's going to be a few of us that's going to see. but it's so many of us that done seen death. It's bodies all over the place. You go to graveyard, you see them everywhere. So it really fits the criteria that he said it's important. It's appointed to every man to die once, because so many of us die. It's just a few of us that's gonna make it, But that ain't none compared to all the people that have died. But so he said, God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, but he gonna save Noah. We said that he found grace in the eyes of the Lord. For the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. So at this time, because all the sin that was going on, the Lord, actually went on and flooded the earth. You go back and look at the history of it, they might, they found some artifacts of the stuff, but you'll see that the Lord, had to go ahead and bring a stop to what was going on, sisters and brothers. He couldn't allow this stuff to continue. You see what I'm saying? And even at that time, he had Noah going out there warning the people, just like today. A few of us, it's almost like all of us are Noahs and preaching to the world, hollering out to our family, telling our friends, hey, you need to get yourself together. The Lord is getting ready to return. Hey, I done found some in the Bible that we didn't understand years ago. You need to start turning. You need to put that pork down. Put that catfish down. People like to say, well, God ain't petty over that. Listen, God tell you in Isaiah chapter 6, he going to kill those eating swine's flesh. He didn't say swine's spirit. He said, I'm going to kill those eating swine's flesh and the abomination and the mouse. So, hey, we tell you to put it down. We trying to save your life. But just like it was in Noah's time, you had one person trying to cry out to all these people. Well, it's almost like the same way today. We crying out to the world, but hey, it ain't that many of us. It's like a drop in the bucket compared to the population. So he said, God said, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence to them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. And this is when the Lord destroyed the earth, brothers and sisters. Like I said, you go and read that and check it out on your own, but I want you to see this because the Lord going to make a comparison to how we are in this generation, in this time. He's going to compare it back to that time. Now let's go over to Genesis chapter 18. I see Proverbs there. We'll come back to it. Go over to Genesis chapter 18. Let's go and stay here while we're here. All right, Genesis chapter 18. Let's go and pick this up at verse 1. All right, go ahead and read that.
And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant.
All right, so what happened right here? The Lord came down. The Lord and 2 of his angels came down with him because they had got word of what was taking place in Sodom. So he came down personally to see this himself. And he came to Abraham. And at this time, his name wasn't Abraham, his name was Abram. But this is who the Lord came to see. All right? So it said the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself toward the ground. All right, now let's skip down to he gonna feed them, and they're gonna sit and talk, and the Lord gonna tell them about what's gonna happen with Sarah. How next year that time she gonna end up being pregnant with child and stuff like that. So this is what the Lord told him in addition to what he really came down for. So the Lord asked the question, should I destroy the city, in other words, and not let Abraham know what's gonna happen? He gonna go and tell Abraham what he gonna do to Sodom. So pick it up at verse 16 and go ahead.
And the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way.
Right, his name was Abraham at that time. All right, but the men rose up from there. These men that actually, like I said, that came with Jesus. These are 2 cherub angels that came with him. Because every time where the Lord moved, he take these angels with him. All right, that's why I tell you in Genesis chapter 3, matter of fact, Genesis 3 and verse, let's see here. This is after Adam had dropped the ball, and the Lord gave him a sentence. 3:24, it says, "So he drove out the man and placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life." So cherubims are numbered angels. Tree of life is Jesus. And everywhere he go, he keep these cherubim with him. That's why if you look into go back into the old days and how they set the temple up. Inside the temple, they had a cherub angel on each side, and the mercy seat represented the Lord. You see what I'm saying? That's how the Lord moved. And when he came down to see Abraham, he brought these two angels. But it's calling them men, but it's really angels, all right? So, and we'll see that as we keep going. But it said the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, because that was their mission. That's what they was coming for. They're coming to see, has this sin really got this bad in Sodom? Are they really performing these acts, that the Lord was told about? That's why a lot of people say, well, God know everything. Listen, God don't know everything. God has angels that report to him and tell him everything. You understand? He sit on the throne. See, the Bible tells you he omnipotent. But people like to say omnipresent. Read that in the Bible. You ain't gonna read it. All right? But he got angels. He got spirits of God that run around this earth that watch you, watch everybody. You know what I'm saying? They come tell the Lord whether you drop the ball or not. You do something bad, and God got the angels and shield of protection around you, and the Lord ain't pleased with it, he'll move the angels out the way. That's protecting you. And let Satan hit you. That's why you look at what happened with Job. When Satan went and talked to God and was like, hey, I'm walking to and from the earth. The Lord said, have you considered my servant Job? And essentially, what was said was, well, I want to get him, but you got the hedge of protection around him. I can't touch him. In other words, them angels sitting around him, I can't do nothing to him. And the Lord said, okay, well, you can touch him, don't touch his soul. You see what I'm saying? So they report to God. The angels work for God, good and evil. People don't understand. All evil that take place in the earth, hey, God has to sign off on this stuff. We like to give Satan the credit. Oh, Satan did this, the devil did this. No, the Bible tells you, the Lord says, I create peace and I create evil. Another place says, I kill, I make alive, I bring down to the grave, and I bring up. God say that. And I think when you understand that, you'll put more of your trust and your fear in God. See, there ain't no fear taught to God. We fear Satan more than we fear God. But if you knew how to fear God and understand who this was that was doing this, then we wouldn't be taking this stuff so lightly. But the point is that these angels came down with God to go see was this really going on in Sodom. So it says, and the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. Verse 17, go ahead.
And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation,
Mm-hmm.
and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
Mm-hmm. Keep reading.
For I know that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him.
Right, and the covenant gonna be passed down to Abraham. This is what he's talking about when he's saying, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation. Because the Lord gonna pass the covenant through Abraham. Through Abraham and his seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because Jesus is gonna come through him. So that's what he's talking about here. All right. Should I hide it from him since the covenant or the nation gonna be blessed through him? Let me tell him what we actually about to do. Then he said in verse 19, for I know him that he will command his children and his household after him. They shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. Verse 20, read that.
And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it.
Now notice what the Lord said. The Lord said what? I will go down now and see all together whether they have done all together according to this. I got to go see this for myself. Like, this can't be happening for real. It was so bad that God had to come down himself to see on this earth had it really got that bad. I mean, he's telling you here what the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great. That means these angels coming back and reporting, letting them know, hey, this is going on. What you think happening right now, sister, bro? How you think the Lord delivered Israel out of Egypt? He said, the hard bondage, all that stuff the Lord had heard about. And it came up to the Lord. And he said, Moses, now I'm going to get ready to deliver them. Well, the same thing going on now. All the stuff that's happening with Israel, all the sin that's going on in the world as well, all that stuff coming up to God, sisters and brothers. It's just a matter of time before he get ready to put this stuff in check. But he came down to actually see what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah himself personally. He said, the Lord said, because the crime of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down and see whether they have done all together according to the cry of it, which has come unto me, and if not, I will know. You see, that's what I'm telling you. We like to say, well, he's omnipresent and stuff like that. No, he's not, sister. He got these angels that move on his behalf, and they come and report back to the Lord. That's why Revelation 12 tell you, Satan was cast down, the accuser of our brethren. What do you think he's doing? As soon as you mess up, boy, he's going to tell Jesus. He's going to tell God, yeah, they did this, they did that. And he just sit there like, let me get him, Lord, let me get him. Because his job is to knock you off, sisters and brothers. But this here got so bad, he had to come down and see it for himself. Read verse 22.
And the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord.
And then they start bargaining. He said, well, what about 50? If you find 50 righteous within the city, will you not destroy it? And they went down from 50. They got down. Where we at? I'm going to turn my page. Hold on one second. Okay, yeah, it went from 50 down to 20, all the way down to 10. Let's see here. Where you stopped at? I think it stopped at 10. Should we find 20? They stopped at 10. So he bargained down with the Lord. If you find 10 in the city, will you not destroy? The Lord said, I will. But you got to realize Abraham's nephew is over there in Sodom. Lot is over there. So he knew that. So he trying to, talk to the Lord as far as like not destroying the city. But it's going to happen. The Lord is going to bring Lot up out of there. Go and pick it up at verse 1. Genesis 19 and verse 1. I'm just going to read over to it.
And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now.
Keep in mind, what does that say right there? What does it say in verse 1?
And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even.
All right, so now we saw in Genesis chapter 18, right, that the 2 men left from Abraham and went over to Sodom, right? Now what does the Bible call them? Angels. Call them angels, you see? Because that's what they was, sisters and brothers. That's why that's what the Bible tells you, be careful when you entertain strangers. You see what I'm saying? You might be in front of angels because they can do that. They can transform like that. That don't mean they flesh and blood. They just can transform like that. You see? And then sometimes you're going to see them with 4 heads, eyes all over the body like it's in Ezekiel. But they can do that. So in this case right here, they just kind of, brought, dimmed it down a little bit, put it that way, to the point where when they got to Sodom and Gomorrah, the men that was actually committing these wicked acts, they thought they were men that came to see Lot. That's why it's telling you here, and there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Verse 2.
And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night and wash your feet. You shall rise up early, go on your ways.
Right, so he can even wash their feet. You see what I'm saying? So they was able to, transform like that in the sense. That's a good word I can use. You see, but they still was angry. All right. So he said, Behold, now my Lord's turn, and I pray you into your servant's house and tarry all night and wash your feet. What else?
And you shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat.
Right, go ahead.
But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
Right, now keep in mind, like I told you, these are angels, but they was able to do that, and this is why the men of Sodom and Gomorrah, they looking at these as men. They saying, bring them out. Listen, when he say bring them out that we may know them, he ain't talking about I want to introduce myself. You know, what's your name, what city you from, and all that. No, they're saying bring them out that we may know them, so we can actually, you know, sleep with them. And what he say in verse 6?
And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wicked.
Right, so if this is cool, if there's nothing wrong with this, the Bible's calling this wicked, sisters and brothers. You know, people like to say, well, it wasn't that. They just started sinning back in the day. They just, you know, were real evil with one another. No, they was telling these men, come outside so we may know them. You go over to Genesis chapter 4 after Adam and Eve had disobeyed God, and then they tell you, Genesis chapter 4, I think around verse 1, that Adam knew his wife, and she became pregnant, something like that. I tell you, she got pregnant with Cain. But right after, it said he knew his wife, and she bare Cain. They didn't talk and have a conversation. All of a sudden, she just get pregnant. No, he laid with his wife, you see. So when they saying here that we may know them, you know exactly what they're talking about. They want to lay with these men, but the Bible is calling this a wicked act, sisters and brothers. There's nothing good about it because that goes against nature. That's not how it's supposed to be. Man is supposed to be with a woman, sisters and brothers. Woman's supposed to be with a man. It's really that simple. But when you start changing things up, now you're going against how God set this thing up. And that's exactly what was going on then, and we seeing it happen now. People like to wonder, well, why are we getting it? Why are they forcing it down our throat? Every time we can't even watch TV no more. It's everywhere. We went to see some movie. What was that? What was not the actual movie, but the cartoon? What was it? Man, what is that? Can you remember? What you know the movie saw, right? It's supposed to be that movie we saw. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool, right? But who was the? I can't remember who the people are behind it. Marvel. Yeah, Marvel. Y'all know Marvel coming up. You know, we was younger. Marvel was straight. Marvel comics and stuff like that. It was, but we went to see a movie, man, and we had to leave the movie. They gave us our money back too. You know, I mean, we couldn't even get into it because it was pushing all type of wicked, homosexual stuff and stuff that me as a man, I couldn't even watch. I think I told you about it because y'all was in Oklahoma at that time also.
Right.
You know, but, you know, it's just that things ain't the same like they used to be. We came full circle back to what we're reading about. You see what I'm saying? And God is going to actually let you know. These are the signs. This is what you need to be paying attention to. Don't get afraid about the blue moons, the blood moons and all that. First off, it didn't happen. You know, we didn't see no blood moons, you know. Then on top of that, you know, people getting chipped and all that type of stuff. Like I say, when we get to the point where it's over with, you going to know. It ain't going to be no doubt in your mind. But the point of this class today is to show you that we leading up to it. Like we walking right to it, sisters and brothers. Like this stuff we see happening right now, it wouldn't go on years ago. If you was in the closet, you stayed in the closet. Ain't nobody know nothing about how you felt. You know, we didn't care about that. Nobody cared about it. If you did find out, you was going to get ridiculed, probably beat up and all that type of stuff that come with it. But now it's open, and it's almost like they done flipped the script around. Like you wrong for being married. You know, you know, having a traditional marriage like it's supposed to be. You know, but yet still it's being forced down our throat. Well, this is how it was back then. We're back there, sisters and brothers. So he said in verse 7, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Verse 8.
Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof.
Right, so he said, listen, man, I got 2 daughters who ain't never known man. I got 2 virgin daughters who have never laid with man. Y'all can take my daughters. You know, like, and I don't know if I can say that about mine. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they was, you know, hey, that's why I probably wasn't that time. I'm like, hey, y'all hell you been, man. My daughter, come on, y'all. I ain't let y'all touch my daughter, man. But I don't know, you know, but Noah said no. So just go to show you how bad it was in that time. He said, behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known, man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as good as in your eyes. So he told them, listen, do what you want to do with them. Just don't touch these men that came into my house. Go on and read it.
Only,
You can read it.
only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof.
Keep reading.
And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door.
Now you notice what I'm saying here? They told, he trying, Lot trying to, bargain with him. Listen, you can have my daughters, man, but just don't touch these men that came into my house, man. They said, man, you better back up. If you don't back up, we're going to do worse to you than we're going to do with them. That's why they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fella came into sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. How you going to tell us what to do? You done moved into our city. You going to tell us what we supposed to do? They said, now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. We talking about young men, old men, with this mentality going on. You see? But go ahead and read verse 10.
But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut to the door.
So they pulled the angels, in other words, or these men pulled Lot inside the house and got him out of there. And what happened? Verse 11.
And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door.
So they blinded. Go ahead.
And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters? And whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place.
Right, because we done seen it. This is where we came down. We had to come witness this for ourselves. And they said, listen, you got any family in the city? You need to get them out of here because we finna destroy this place. Now, if it was so good, if homosexuality wasn't the problem, why is the Lord going to destroy this city? You know what I'm saying? Like we done got to the point as if like this stuff was just a fairy tale. It's all fiction. It really didn't happen. No, it really happened, sisters and brothers. And it's going to happen again. So he said, for we will destroy this place. In verse 13, read that.
For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord. And the Lord has sent us to destroy it.
But notice what this sin, what has happened. It done came up before the Lord now. And that's what I want you to understand. That's exactly what's happening now today. All the stuff that's going on in the world is coming up before God, sisters and brothers. I don't know what he's doing with time. I just know it's going fast. I can't explain it. I'm not going to try to say I see nothing in the scriptures pertaining to that, but I just know it seems like the time is moving. But at the same time, the sin getting more and more worse too. Things are happening that I never imagined. But the Lord they said, the Lord have sent us to destroy it. And that's what they came for, to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Skip down to verse 16. He go to his son-in-laws and, he go to son-in-laws to bring it to them and say, well, he seemed as to one, to them as one that mocked. It's just like today. We taking people to word, trying to let them know you got to turn, got to start keeping the commandments, start keeping the Sabbath day and stuff. And it just seemed like it's a game, sisters and brothers. But ain't nothing changed. That's the same way it was back then. But he said, Lot went out and speaking to his son-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, up, you get you out of this place. All right, we'll read verse 16. Go ahead and read.
And while he lingered, the man laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them.
So he told them to get out of there, because they get ready to destroy the city. Where you at? Where's
18.
Okay, go ahead.
And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold now.
Oh, you skip to verse 24. Just get to the point.
Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah.
And that's the point I wanted you to see. Lord, now for the rain upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Now remember now, and we looked at during the time of Noah. Hey, he sent water. He flooded the earth with water at that time and saved 8 souls. Noah, his wife, They 3 sons and they 3 wives. He saved 8 souls. You know, he sent water. And he said they ain't gonna never send water again. That's why every time it rained outside, for the most part, you may find a rainbow outside. Because that was his covenant. Not some for gay people to use as they sign the colors. You know, no, that was something for God to remind himself that he's never gonna flood this earth with water again. Next time it's gonna be fire. And then in this case right here, we see here that the Lord get ready to rain fire and brimstone upon Sodom and Gomorrah. So finish reading that.
Brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Where you at? 24, right? 25?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt.
And that's one thing you don't want to do. The Lord bring you out, whether Lord tell you, and in this case here, hey, she could have looked back physically. And if she did, she got destroyed. She could look back spiritually. The point is, he said don't look back. So however you want to look at it, don't look back. Don't look back it's gonna come a time when you're gonna have to run. You can't be trying to go back and save mama and all that type of stuff. Mama need to get it now. They need to get it now, because like Paul tell you, hey, you got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. It's gonna come a time you're gonna have to make a choice. Right now is the time for you to do all the warning and telling people, and trying to get them in. You still got to be wise about it though. But this is when you want to try to, do what you can to introduce people to the word, because it's gonna come a time when it's gonna get bad. You can't be trying to save nobody. That's why I tell people, man, when it's time for us to get up out of here and flee, because just like the Lord provided a way of escape back then, He's gonna provide a way of escape again. But I ain't gonna be helping nobody. I'm sorry. I will help you before that time. That's why the Lord tell you when when it comes, when you come down, one gonna be in the roof. And you come down, don't go back to take nothing. You need to get out of here, because it's going to be a bad time. It's called the Great Tribulation. You see? So we do all these different lessons to show you, to prepare you, 2,300 days, to show you how this thing will unfold. The Great Tribulation, the abomination of desolation, to show you what you need to be prepared for. Because when it's time, man, you're not going to get me. And that's the thing, she turned around, she go, ain't no telling what she did. Went to go get her family, went look back and just reminisce or miss the city. The point is that she wasn't supposed to turn back, and the Lord turned into a pillar of salt. But he destroyed the city because of their wicked acts, sisters and brothers. And that's what I want y'all to understand. That's exactly what took place in that time. And the Lord actually gave us this stuff as an example for us during our time. All right, but now let's go a little further. Let's go over to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. And then this one article I got, you guys can check this out afterwards if you want to. It's just talking about how there was a fire chief that worked in Atlanta. And pretty well known throughout the country, decorated and stuff like that. And he wrote a book. It was called Who Told You You Were Naked? You know what I'm saying? And he goes into how homosexuality is just like lying with a beast. Because they tell you that in Deuteronomy. And that's where he got it from. And they fired him. American Scene Reed, a brother in Atlanta, he had him fired. He was like, listen, them your views. We don't represent that. But this was something that this brother put together on his own personal time. Had nothing to do with job time. Yeah. But the point of this article was to show you that you come out and you get to a time where you say things which are absolutely correct. Hey, you're going to get ridiculed for the word of God. They ended up giving him his job back, but it was a big fight in Atlanta over this thing. And then I don't know if you all know, you can Google this stuff. Like I said, I have the articles, but I ain't going to go into them today. Last week I got drained reading all this stuff. But I have them here. You can look at it if you want to. But about the florist, the lady who wouldn't make flower arrangements for the gay couple. And they end up suing, and the judge told her, we'll take all your stuff. Your retirement, all your money that you got saved up and everything. We end up taking all that stuff because now, the ball is being put in on the other side. So, right, throughout the years, in a sense, we had the ball in our court. And what I mean by that is it was right for us to do right. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Now it ain't right for you to do right. It's wrong for you to do right. It's wrong for you to want to be married and have a family. It's wrong for you to want to serve God. Now it's like they're taking the ball out of our court and they put it in their court now. And everything they say is right and everything we say is wrong. So like I said, the florist, she believed in God. You go to the thing that happened in Kentucky, I think 2015, where the clerk wouldn't sign off on gay marriage. After the law was passed in America, she's like, I'm not signing it. They put her in jail, remember? If y'all remember, go look it up. They put the lady in jail. She was like, and even though they don't know the truth, to them, hey, they know that we're not doing this. You know, I may not understand the Sabbath completely. You know, I may not understand how to keep the feast days and stuff like that. But one thing I do understand, I ain't finna sign this off saying that and put my name on here as the county clerk and say that it's okay for these two men to marry each other or these two women, because she say because God says it's wrong. You see what I'm saying? So in her mind, she stood up for God. I can't judge another man's servant. The point is, what you do, they put her in jail. This was 2 years ago. But it's just showing you how things are starting to switch now. You see what I'm saying? Because we in those end times. This is the end of the world. Once Jesus came and died, sisters and brothers, that took us into the last days. Now we in the latter part of those last days. It's almost over. You don't have much time like you think you got. And then on top of that, God can come for you any day. He can take your life like that. So you don't have time to play around. Every moment, every breath that you have, it should be to try to make yourself better. Trying to make yourself better, serving God, pleasing God, what I got to do to get into the kingdom, what I got to do to love my fellow man, to be better, a better person. Because when you get up from that grave, sisters and brothers, you're going to have to answer to God. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to answer. That's why people be mistaken. They mistaken, forget that when you die, you're just sleeping for a while. That's why it's called, that's what they say, rest in peace, don't they? Right. I mean, rest forever. You getting up. Paul even say what? Those who sleep in Jesus don't get up at his return. Because you just sleeping, sisters and brothers. That's what you're doing. You taking a nap, but you getting up. You got to answer for everything you've done in this life. All right? But that's what took place in Atlanta. That's one article on that. The other was about the florists who wouldn't serve those, the gay couple. They got mad about that. But let's go a little further. Matthew 24 and verse 5. Matthew 24 and verse 5. Matthew 24 and verse 5. Go and pick that up and read that.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
Go ahead.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
Right, so what's going on right here? Matthew 24 is very important. Matthew 24 is important. St. Luke chapter 21 is important. But Matthew 24 is mainly where, disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. They had rebuilt Solomon's temple. They was excited about it. And the Lord mainly just cut to the chase and told them, well, I don't know what you're really excited for because they're going to destroy it anyway. So they went to ask him, well, when shall these things be, talking about the destruction of the temple, which took place in 70 AD. Go look it up, when the Romans came and sacked Jerusalem. And that's when our forefathers began going into captivity. All right? So that took place in 70 AD. That was one question. When shall these things be? What shall be the sign of your coming? Talking about the second coming, because he was sitting there talking to him at that time. So what should be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? That's what they asked Jesus. Then he goes on to answer them. And the first thing he says in verse 4, read that. Read 4 for me.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
And what Jesus said to them was, he said, take heed that no man rob you, no man shoot you, no man commit adultery with your wife. That's what he said? Did he say that? Did the Bible just say that? The first thing he said was what? Take heed that what? No man deceive you. He put deception above all of that, sisters and brothers. Why? Because if they get you here in your mind, sisters and brothers, they got you. That's why so many people gonna be deceived tomorrow, following Joel Osteen. 30,000, 40,000 people filling up a stadium and ain't reading no Bible. But the Lord is making reference of giving you a time of when it's going to happen. He said, what? Take heed that no man deceive you. Many going to come in my name saying I'm Christ and shall deceive many. That means it's going to be a little bit of people that's going to find the truth. He said, broad is the way to destruction. And many that find it, and few there be that find it. Talking about the way of righteousness. But broad is the way to destruction. And many go in there at. In other words, it's going to be a lot of people that's going to end up in that lake of fire. It's only going to be a few people that are going to make it in, sister, brother. Why? Because they've been deceived. He said, take heed that no man deceive you. So that's why I was saying you got to question everything. You got to question me. You got to question my teachers. I mean, history, science, it don't matter because we talking about your salvation. Now, don't spend too much time in what's going to get you away from the word of God. You see what I'm saying? Don't, some things like it tell you, like Paul when he's writing to Timothy, he was telling you how some, regarding genealogies and stuff, don't even pay that stuff no attention. Some questions gender strife. You will be able to understand if somebody just asking you stuff or just trying to argue with you, for no reason. And there's going to be no benefit in arguing back and forth. When you make that judgment, you see? But as far as like inside your mind to settle, question everything. That's how I got to the word. I had to question my preacher. I had to question all the different things I was taught coming up. You see what I'm saying? So make sure you question because deception is running rampant, sisters and brothers. So he say, read verse 6. He said, many gonna come in my name saying I'm Christ and shall deceive many. Many ain't gonna come in the name of Buddha. Right. Not in the name of Muhammad. Okay? Not in the name of, Hare Krishna. No, they coming. Many gonna come in the name of Jesus, sisters and brothers. They're going to come with these false preachers. It's going to sound good. They're going to dress good. They're going to have a nice house, a nice car. People going to fall for it. But he also said, they're going to deceive many. What else? Verse 6.
And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
And that's been going on for a long time, right? Yeah. He said you're going to hear wars and rumors of wars. What else?
See that ye be not troubled.
Uh-huh.
For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
Right, so hey, the end ain't yet though, but all this stuff gotta happen. You hear about it. You hear Russia and North Korea, they flexing their muscle and stuff like that. Russia and China doing drills together. You're hearing the different wars. Everybody want to attack Iran, that ain't gonna happen. They ain't gonna touch Iran. You mess with Iran, you gotta mess with Russia. That's the Medo-Persian Empire that came in before Alexander the Great. They rolled together back then, they roll together now. So you ain't gonna touch Iran, man. They talk all that noise, though. But you're gonna hear about all these different wars, sisters and brothers. And that's what we got going on now. It has to happen. We've been hearing about wars since we was kids. Why do you think we're in Iraq? Afghanistan. Going, all over the place because this is what's been going on based on what God is saying. You're gonna hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. Don't let that trouble you. Go ahead and read. All these things must come to pass. What?
But the end is not yet.
Right. So we ain't quite at the end yet. Go ahead and read.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
That's right. Go ahead.
These are the beginning of sorrows.
Now notice what he said. He said all these are the beginning of sorrows, right? But he let you know nation gonna rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There are going to be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. We seeing that. Earthquakes in different places. It's happening all over. I think I saw some, might have been Oklahoma a few days ago. Had like 30-some different earthquakes. It's like it's ramping up to something. But, I mean, the one that was in Japan a few years ago, the one that was over, that killed 400,000 people, I think, in 200,000 people, I think in 2005. India, so. Huh? Sri Lanka, I think. Yeah, Sri Lanka, where they kill like 200,000 people. But all this stuff has to start happening now in our time. And he says in verse 8, what all these are the beginning of sorrow. What else comes with it?
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
Right. So just imagine tomorrow, like the preacher preaching, he get into a good little rhythm and stuff. And he read Matthew chapter 24 and verse 9 and say, turn to your neighbor and tell him that. Everybody get up and walk out of church. Because that ain't what they came for. I did not come for you to tell me I'm going to be delivered up and be afflicted and they're going to kill me. I'll be hated. Well, that's what the Bible is saying. That's what needs to be said. He says, what? Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And it's Jesus talking. Go into Revelation chapter 20. So we be missing all this stuff. You know, it's good to learn about the basics of the Bible. You need to know the commandments. You need to know the feast days. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a good time keeping the feast and stuff like that. You know, but you also got to know about the other stuff that's coming down the pipe, sisters and brothers. You know, it ain't going to just be Peachy King the whole time. You know, it's a lot of stuff that comes with serving God. And you have to know about this. Remember, he said they're going to kill you for my name's sake. We're going to see what that is. So Revelation chapter 20, go and pick this up at verse 1.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and the great chain in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan,
Mm-hmm.
and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled.
All right, so I think y'all might have learned last week about the 7th-day command going to be 1,000 years on this earth. And before the Lord can actually start the Sabbath for man, Satan got to be taken down. All right? But this is the same one that was in the beginning. That old serpent called the devil and Satan. This is the one that spoke with Eve. You know? But he just got cast out. This angel that got cast out. But when the Lord get ready to return, Michael, the angel, he going to bind him up, throw him in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. 1,000 years represent the Lord's Sabbath day for mankind. All right? So in order for us to have a Sabbath, a rest on this earth, Satan can't be here. Okay? Because there can't be no killing going on. None of that stuff. So Lord going to have him locked away in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. It's going to be 1,000 years of peace, sister and brother. That's what this Sabbath day points to. That's why, 52 times in a year we observe the Sabbath. Because when the Lord does things, he does things to show you stuff that's going to happen in the future. That's why I tell you in Colossians chapter 2, it's a shadow of things to come. Memorial blowing the trumpets. We keep that. Why? Because it's a shadow of things to come. You know what's going to happen when the trumpets start blowing in the future? That's going to introduce the coming of Jesus. The Day of Atonement. You know what's going to happen on the Day of Atonement? We observe that on the 7th month, the 10th day of the 7th month. You know why we observe that? Because that points to the day when the Lord going to come back and take down Esau. Somebody going to have to die for the sins of the world. And Jesus ain't doing it again. So he said, my sacrifice going to be in Bozrah, talking about Edom or Esau, the ones who perpetrating themselves and calling themselves Jews. When he get back, he said his sword going to be bathed in heaven, and he taking Esau down. But that's pointing to something that's going to take place in the future, sister and brother. Stuff hadn't happened yet. So this is why we keep the Sabbath day. It's showing us the 1,000-year reign that the Lord going to have on this earth. So when he get back, he going to have Satan cast in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. We're going to have number peace on this earth. Long life going to be instituted again. A child at 100 years old, that's going to be considered a baby. He said a sinner going to be accursed at 100 years old. Like, for instance, today, the Lord got in a sense, an age of responsibility being 20 years of age. Like when Joshua then went to go into the promised land, everybody under 20 went in, except Joshua and Caleb, because they actually believed in God, and the Lord let them get in. But everybody under 20 got in. Everybody else, the Lord ain't let them get into the promised land. He said, because your little ones didn't know the difference between right and wrong, or good and evil at that time. Everybody was under 20. They didn't know no better. So he gave you an age of responsibility like around 20, right? Well, around this time, when the Lord returned, it's like the age of responsibility going to be around 100. Like we say, man, you 91 years old. You live to see a long time. Man, 100, you're going to be a baby. Because people going to be living to be 850, 900 years old when the Lord returns. You see? But that's what going to happen when the Lord brings the Sabbath day back to this earth. During the 1,000-year reign, he got to take Satan down. That old serpent called the devil and Satan. And he said he's going to cast him to the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. Read verse 4. This is what we was getting at. Go ahead.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus.
Now notice what he said though. He said, I saw the souls of them that was beheaded for what?
The witness of Jesus.
Right, because he said they're gonna deliver you up and you're gonna be killed in my name, right? Something pertaining to that, but now we see what his name is for the witness of Jesus, sisters and brothers. But you're gonna be beheaded. See, that's what's coming with, serving God. He said they're gonna be beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast. What else?
Neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands.
Go ahead.
And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
Right, they're going to rule and reign with Christ. But if you notice what he's saying now, because like I told you, there's a great tribulation coming on this earth. And during that time of that great tribulation, you have to take this mark in your right hand and your forehead. And if you don't take it, hey, that's pleasing in the eyes of God. That's why he mentions here, they're going to be beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, because he's going to set up an image just like Nebuchadnezzar set up an image. Remember he told Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, y'all, listen, when we start playing these instruments, y'all go ahead and bow down and start worshiping this image. They said, well, we ain't going to waste your time. We ain't bowing down serving nothing. You might have going to throw us in the fire. Well, in the end, they're going to create another image. Because it was the beginning of the Gentile dynasty. At the end, we got the end of the Gentile dynasty. They're doing the same. The way they brought it in, the way they're going to take it out. You're going to have to bow down and worship him, sisters and brothers. But these people here, they not going to do it. They say they had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their forehead or in their hand, and they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. But the point I want to show you about the beheading, like I said, I got different articles on it. You can read it. You can read on it how I got some article on how ISIS was beheading some Christians. I think it was like a few years back. They took them all out on the beach and cut their heads off because they was professing Christ. Like I said, even though it may not be Jesus how we know it, they hold on to that. You know what I'm saying? They hold on to know we believe in Jesus, based on what they was taught. So just to kind of just show you that it's kind of warming up the room to what's getting ready to come down the pipes. Because really, it's all going to start shifting focus toward Israel and the saints. That's really what all this stuff is gearing toward. Because it's a battle between the woman's seed and the serpent seed, sisters and brothers. That's why I tell you in Revelation chapter 12 that once the woman get into the wilderness, Satan going to turn back around and go and make war against the remnant of her seed that keep the commandments of God. So that's essentially what this beheading is going to lead to. It's leading to the church, the saints, sisters and brothers. All right? But it's already starting to happen. Now let's go a little bit further. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 2. 2 Peter chapter 2. Second Peter chapter 2. Go and pick it up at verse 1.
But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in the damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. For if God spared not the angels that sinned.
All right, now check this out, though. Before we look to that, right, verse 4, he was saying how, it's false prophets among the people, like back in the Old Testament, because they've always been around. There's false prophets back then, it's false prophets now. That's why it says, false prophets among the people, even as there should be false teachers among you, who proudly shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them and bring upon themselves swift destruction. That's why you look at all these different doctrines that's going on, telling you ain't got to keep the law, Jesus nailed it to the cross, all the different things that we got. This stuff is the way of God is evil spoken of by the preacher system. That's really where all this stuff is coming from. Instead of instead of the preachers correcting it, even though some preachers ain't got to be doing this anyway. But I'm just saying, coming from that particular position, the pulpit, that's where the law's supposed to be actually taught from. But it's almost like you got to pass the sin nowadays. We don't got to keep the law no more. We don't got to keep the feast days. We don't got to keep Sabbath. We don't have to do nothing no more. But yet still, we keep Christmas and we keep Thanksgiving. And we keep Easter and all that type. If we don't got to do that, then we don't have to do none of what the Bible said. Then why do we do this other stuff? Mm-hmm. You see? But he says there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even deny the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. And many gonna follow their pernicious ways. By reason, because of these preachers or these false prophets, the truth is gonna be evil spoken of. But many gonna follow their pernicious ways. Not a little bit. There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be deceived, all the way down to the point where, when the beast and the false prophet go into action, many gonna be deceived just by the acts that they do alone. Fire coming down from heaven. Oh, that's gonna be God on earth for man. That's gonna be something big right there. Because they remember now we all about signs. Even in the adulterous generation seek after signs. But it said, many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you. And that's where we are right now. So you don't go to church to learn, you go to church to pay preaching. That's what you go to church for. Not this church. I'm just saying, man as a whole, that's what religion is all about. Go to church and, I'm sowing my seed. And you leaving hoping that your seed has become a seed in the ground. I mean, your money has become a seed, so it can end up becoming what you want. Like if you take your money, you put down a seed in the church, you hope that one day it turns into a house. You hope that money that you've given to the church turns into a car. You know why? Because this is what the false prophets are saying. They're telling you this, but the only ones that get in the house and the cars and the fancy clothes are the preachers. Why? Because they done made merchandise and you got to pay them bills. He said what? They through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. Because it may seem as if they getting away with it. The Lord gonna pay them back. The Lord gonna pay them back. He's just waiting for a particular time to, to go ahead and institute the damage that he brings. Because who he gonna liken it to? Verse 4.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned.
Right, because the angels that sinned, he didn't spare them. It's just that he gonna, first off, he cast them out. That's why he gonna tell you that. He said, if God spared not the angels that sinned, people like, well, you may actually say, well, how the angels sin? You had to keep the 10 Commandments, they keep the Sabbath. No, whatever God tell you to do, that's what you do. And you don't do it, it becomes a sin. Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and did what?
Delivered them into the chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old word.
Wait a minute, he spared not the old what?
World.
Right, he spared not the old world. Go ahead and read.
But saved Noah, the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
Right, so we see that he didn't spare the old world. We read that he destroyed it, didn't he? And this particular case right here, we talking about what happened with Noah. The Lord, and even tell you that Noah was a preacher. The 8th person. Why I saying the 8th person? Because remember, it was 8 people that got in the ark. It was Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, which make 5, and they 3 wives. That's 8 people right there. So he said he spared not the old world, talking about doing that time, long time ago. It wasn't a different heaven or a different earth. We just talking about doing that particular time. All right? Spare not the old world, but save Noah, the 8th person, the preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. That's what the Lord did. He brought that flood and destroyed everybody, and then told them after they got off the ark, he said, now y'all replenish the earth. Y'all do it all over again. Go ahead and read verse 6.
And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly.
Now notice what it says. He said he turned the cities, right? of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that should live ungodly. So what was that for, sisters and brothers? What was the Lord flooding the earth about? What did he do that for? What was Sodom and Gomorrah, the Lord sent fire and brimstone down to this earth? What was that all about? That was an example. Even though they sinned and got carried away, listen, this is for you in the future. Look back and see what he did back then. This way you'll understand what's coming, sisters and brothers. He said what? Making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. So it wouldn't be right for God just to kill them and ignore what's happening right now today. You understand? That's why I'm telling you, like, we in the end, we sin it, but God got to answer the call. Just like it's going up to him like it was back then. Hey, it's going up to him right now, sister and brother. I'm going to read verse 7.
And delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them. That's
good on that. But he said what? He delivered just Lot. He was vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. Turn over to Proverbs chapter 17. Proverbs chapter 17. We're going to come back down. I'm just moving around this out. See, Lot didn't like what was going on, and the Lord, saw that, and he delivered him. He said he delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. That's all you see came out, Lot and his daughters. So it got to show you that you can't justify sin as being okay. You know what I'm saying? You got to disagree with it also. It can't be so much as, well, I'm okay with it, as long as it don't bother me, as long as you don't come my way with it. No, you gotta think like God thinks. If he says wrong, then you got to say it's wrong. Proverbs 17, go and pick this up at verse 13. Read that.
Whoso rewarded evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water, therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with.
Right, and then, like I said, verse 13, whoso rewarded evil for good, evil should not depart from his house. You keep on telling the child, they doing wrong, but you keep on rewarding them as if it's not a problem. Hey, you're going to have evil in your house all the time. That's why you need to beat these children. Beat them kids and get them in line, man. I'm dealing with a situation now with somebody in my family, man, and the government got involved and actually took the rod, made my father, wouldn't allow my father to chastise, and she done got ridiculous now, man. And he telling you here, it wasn't that he was rewarding her, but her mother was rewarding. Not we had the same father. He had my sister when she was, I think I was 23. Yeah, because they're the same age as my daughter. So yeah, this is my father. He had married another lady, and they had a child together. And the government got involved, throughout the years, and eventually they got a divorce, and the state came in and made my father stay away. Told him, you better not touch her, none of that. You can't spank her, nothing. And she done turned into a child of the devil. When I say that, I really mean that. Y'all might have heard about it in Jacksonville. I ain't gonna tell you. I'll tell you out the class. Y'all might have heard about it on the news. I ain't gonna say that right now. But the point is that, like you say, whoso reward evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. You got to be able to correct that stuff, and get that stuff up out of there. You can't sit up there and be cool with none of it, man. But skip down. Where are we at? 17? Well, read 15.
He that justified the wicked and he that condemned the just, even they both are abominations.
That's right. So you can't condemn the just as if what we're doing is wrong, and you can't sit up here and justify the wicked as if what they're doing is right. He said, even they both are an abomination to the Lord. So in other words, you have to, you got to take that same position that Lot took, that Noah took. We saw Lot was what? He was vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. It can't be like, okay, hey, y'all do what y'all do. Y'all stay over there. I'm cool with it. I got gay friends. We okay. Get out of here with that gay crap. Ain't no gay friends. Like I told you, it's either gonna rub one way or the other. You gonna end up being a little sugar in your tank, or you gonna get him cleaned up. But I don't even take that chance. You walk up in the church, you got a little sugar in your tank. We gonna make sure you walk out and it's all gone. We don't got time. You can't play like that, man. We deal with the word of God. We 100% men with this thing. Just like the sisters. You come into church and you got, with that little spirit on you, or with dyke, or whatever you want to call it. Well, them sisters gonna check you. We're gonna straighten all that out. We still gonna be lights to the world, and we ain't gonna turn a blind eye to this thing. We're gonna call it exactly what it is. You gotta take a choice. He said, "What? He that justified the wicked, and he that condemned the just, even they both are an abomination to the Lord." But that's it on that. Let's go over to Revelation chapter 22. Well, that's good on that. Let's go back to Luke 17. Luke 17. I need to read that also. Luke 17. Luke 17. I'm going to pick this up at verse 26.
And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank.
And we just read about that, right? So he's saying, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They did what?
They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
Right, so he said they ate, they drank, they married wives. They was having a good time. Until the day that what? Noah entered into the ark. What else?
The flood came and destroyed them all.
Right, so if you look around right now and say, what I was doing the days of Noah, there's no way we can be comparing it to now. But the Lord gonna cover it all. He say what? Like it was in the days of Noah. Then he goes in verse 28. Read that.
Likewise, also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted.
Right, so now we even down to the days of Lot. We got what? We got Noah and we got the days of Lot, sisters and brothers. And we see what happened during these two different times. One time, evil was on the heart of men continually. That's all they thought about. So we got that going on. And another time, we had what? Sodomy going on, right? And both times the Lord sent one-on-one. The other time he sent fire. But it was both times where he had to get involved, sisters and brothers, to bring it to an end. So he said, likewise, also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built, they just living as if nothing was going to change, sisters and brothers. And there's nothing wrong with living your life. You want to do that because this is what God gave you on this side of the sun. You live your life and stuff like that, but just understand that, hey, this stuff got to come to an end. That's why Jesus told them when they was, come celebrating that temple. He was like, man, hey, all this stuff going to be destroyed. But he understood the mission. That's what you have to understand. You're on a mission and you're on a mission to get salvation. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. There's nothing better for a man to enjoy the fruit of his labor. Enjoy life. Take some vacation. Spend time with your family. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, just understand that on the other side of this thing, the Lord got to shut this thing short and start this thing all over again. And that's coming. That's why he's going to make this comparison. Read verse 29.
But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all.
Right, so the Lord sent that down. He said the same day that Lot went out, that's when Lot came out of the city. It rained fire and brimstone from heaven and it destroyed all of them, right? Now we still, Luke 17 here, we talking about the coming of the Lord. They're asking about the kingdom of God coming, right? And he telling them. Go to read verse 30.
Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
Oh, he said just like Sodom and Gomorrah was, just like the days of Noah was, that's how it's going to be when Jesus returns. That's what he means when he say, even thus shall it be when the Son of Man is revealed. What happened? Verse 31.
In that day he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him not return back. Let him likewise not return back.
Right, so he said, in that day, if you're on the housetop, and that time then came where the Lord get ready to return, hey, you need to get up out of here. Because this is getting ready to take us into the great tribulation. You ain't got time to get nothing. He's saying, in that day, he which shall be upon the housetop, and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. You ain't got time to go grab nothing. This is a very bad time, sisters and brothers. He said, and he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. That's why I was telling y'all, when it's time for us to get out of here, I ain't got time to save nobody. I'm trying to save you right now, giving you the word now. Even the Lord give us a particular number in the Bible where we can prepare way ahead of time, almost 2 years ahead of time, before it's time for us to get to the place of safety. You understand? So we'll let y'all know all that. We'll talk you into it, walk you into it, whatever you need to know. But when it's time for you to get out of here for the great tribulation, at that time, hey, it's over with. I got to save myself. I love y'all. I love my wife. I love my children. I love the saints. But it's going to be every man for himself at this time. And I'm just telling you the truth, man, because, hey, I can't worry about my mother. I can't worry about, I got to stay back and help this person and help. No. Because ain't no telling if I take that mark, I get caught in that great tribulation. I ain't going to lie. You seen what happened with Peter. Peter was like, I'm good, I'm straight, I'm going to ride with you all the way to the end. You was with Jesus. No, I don't even know who that is. You see, so that's why you want to get out of here. The Lord telling you that how bad of a time it's going to be. And that day he shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house. Let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. What he said in verse 32?
Remember Lot's wife.
Oh, he said what? Remember Lot's wife. Remember what happened to her. Go ahead and read verse 33.
Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it.
Go ahead.
And whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it.
That's right. So now go over to Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. Is my clock right? Oh, watch me fast. Goodness gracious. Time is really flying. Daniel chapter 8. I'm going to put this up at, let's see here. Let's just read through it. Daniel chapter 8, let's pick it up at verse 1. I wanted to say we're discussing Bible study, but that's cool. We ain't leaving today. We ain't got number 1, 2, 5 more places. Daniel chapter 8, because the Lord gave us some signs, and one of the signs that we need to look at is this temple that the Lord told us about. Just to see where we at as far as the temple is concerned. Because they talking about building a temple. Everything that's needed to actually go inside this temple that they want to build as far as Esau is concerned, it's all it's mainly here. It's mainly all set and ready to go. They got the so-called priests ready to do the jobs and all that. They just waiting on a red heifer, and they waiting to find a spot to actually put this temple on. But God showed us and left us signs in the Bible for us to look out for. So Daniel chapter 8, go and pick it up at verse 1. Read that.
In the 3rd year of the reign of King.
Y'all pay attention. We're going to read through this. 1 through 12, we're going to read through this. I ain't going to break it down because the Bible going to break it down when we get to down to verse 18. So read through this right quick. Go ahead.
In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw that I was at Shushan, in the palace which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in the vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. And then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which was waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice, reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered.
All right, so now, stop at verse 12. All right, so now I know this can be a lot, probably be confusing, but the Bible going to explain it, and we're going to look at it. But I just want him to read through that, because if I don't let him read through that, I will let the cat out of the bag. So I want him to read through it so we can see it, so I don't explain it too early. Now let's get down to verse 18, and we're going to match this stuff up. All right, go to read verse 18.
Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground. But he touched me and set me upright.
All right, now this is the angel Gabriel. He coming to bring Daniel understanding on his vision, what he saw in chapter 8, well, verses 1 through 12. All right, so he coming to give him an interpretation of what he saw. All right, now keep in mind now, when he started off with these, he got 3 different animals that he describes. He's not going to describe 4. In Daniel chapter 7, he describes 4 animals, right? The first one he starts off with is a lion. The next one he starts off with is the bear. One after the bear, he goes into the leopard. Then after the leopard, there's a great and dreadful beast, right? That's 4 that he gives you in Daniel chapter 7. In Daniel chapter 8, he only gives you 3 because he's already in one of those kingdoms. All right, he's in the kingdom, Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, which is where the lion is. All right, but so what Daniel's seeing, he's seeing the next 3 the next 3 kingdoms that are getting ready to come up out of the Gentile dynasty. So this is why he lists these 3 animals. All right, so it said in verse 18, now as he was speaking with me, talking about the angel, he said, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright and said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed, for the time appointed, the end shall be. But we talking about the end of the world, sisters and brothers. You know, in our time, all this stuff is starting to speak. It didn't come to pass during Daniel's time. The Lord gave it to Daniel in his time, but he told Daniel, hey, seal up the vision. It ain't for you. It's for the last days. Now all this stuff is starting to come to play, and we starting to understand it now. All right, but we're going to look at, go and read verse 20.
The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia.
Okay, so now go back to verse 3, y'all. Go back to verse 3. We're going to match all this stuff up. In verse 3, it says what? Read verse 3.
Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns.
Okay, so now it says, there stood before, in verse 3 it says, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and what else?
And the 2 horns were high, but the one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last.
Okay, now go back to verse 20. Let's see what these 2 horns were and who this ram is. Go ahead and read.
The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia.
Okay, so that's what these 2 horns represent. Sometimes in the Bible, you look in the Bible, you see horns, it represent kingdoms or kings. In this particular case right here, this represented the Medo-Persian Empire. The Medo-Persian Empire would be the Medes and the Persians, or Russia and Iran. Back in the day, they had Darius and the Medes, Cyrus and the Persians. They ruled together. And one of those kingdoms, one of those horns were higher than the other. Like the Persian kingdom was higher than the Russian kingdom. But needless to say, they still were together. And they still together today, sisters and brothers. Look it up in your history. They still around. That's why when the Lord get back, he gonna use the he gonna bring down the Medes against Idumea and against the East. It tell you that, I think, in Isaiah 63. It might be 13, if I'm mistaken. But it says, the ram which I saw having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia. All right, these two places exist today. Like I say, it's Russia and Iran. All right, go ahead and read verse 21.
And the rough goat is the king of Grecia.
Now come back to verse 5. Read verse 21, all of that.
And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
Verse 22, go ahead.
Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power.
Okay, so now let's go back to verse 5. Let's see what it says. Go ahead and read that.
And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Okay, so now when you look at verse 21, it says, and the rough goat is the king of Greece. Y'all know what Greece is?
Greece.
In English, say it again, Brother Julius. That's Greece. Y'all know who was the king of Greece? Alexander the Great. See how the Bible it break it down for you. That's why I say I ain't want to read it and stop him. I want y'all to see it for yourself. But you go look in your history books, it tell you about Alexander the Great. Jesus is calling this stuff, or the Bible is calling it before it even came into existence. That's why you have to be mindful about all these different other books. It's okay for you to study other books, but I'm not going to go get the Quran as my source of the word. First off, the Quran is a joke. Second off, it don't tell you nothing about that's going to happen in the future. The Bible will call the end of this thing at the beginning. He's going to tell you how this thing going to unfold. So right now, we're looking at Alexander the Great and his kingdom. And that's why in the middle of verse 21, it says, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. That was Alexander the Great. Then it says, now that being broken, talking about that first horn, or Alexander the Great, because he died at an early age. He couldn't really run the kingdom for a long time because he died. Came in and took down Medo-Persia, Russian, Iran, took them down real quick, set up the Greek Empire, and he died. Then he had 4 generals that were left over that came up in this place. That's why it says, now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it. 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So in other words, you had Alexander the Great, his 4 generals took over the Greek Empire once he died. All right. So you still had the Greek Empire, but it wasn't as big, it wasn't as powerful as it was when Alexander the Great was running. All right. So now read verse 23. Go ahead.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, the king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
Okay, now come back to verse 8. We're going to read down to verse 9. We're going to read down to verse 9, then we'll jump back to 23. Go ahead, verse 8.
Therefore the he-goat waxed very great.
Now this he-goat, remember this is the Greek Empire. All right, this is Alexander the Great. It says, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and what else?
When he was strong, the great horn was broken.
Right, so when he was strong and in his power, he died. All right, that's what talking about Alexander. It says what? When he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it, what happened?
Came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven.
Right, and those are his 4 generals that came up after him. You can look it up in history. You'll be able to see it. Matter of fact, I got the book with me called, what's that book called Bowie wrote? I forgot. What's it called? 4 Winds of Heaven. Yeah, I got it in my bag. Y'all can read them and look at it. So he said one of them came forth a little horn. All right, so after Alexander the Great fell off, these 4 generals came up that represented the Greek Empire. Now what happened next? Go ahead and read.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn.
Right, so out of these 4 winds, or these 4 kings, there's another little horn that's going to come up, but he's going to come up from the last part of this dynasty. All right? He said, now out of one of them came forth a little horn, which did what?
Waxed exceeding great, toward the south and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land.
Right, and this is, when he say toward the pleasant land, we're talking about toward Jerusalem, all right? So now jump back over to verse 23. Let's look at this little horn again. Go on and read. This is the interpretation. Verse 23.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full.
So when sin has come to a full now, all right, in the latter time of their kingdom, after Alexander 4 generals come up, and their kingdom is, their transgressors have come to the full, what's going to happen? A king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, right? We just talking about this little horn. Because in verse 9 it says, and out of one of them came forth a little horn. And this little horn that we talking about, we just talking about The Roman Empire. And this little horn that's going to come up, which is what we're up under right now, which people don't understand. We are still being ruled by Rome, sisters and brothers. You know, that's why when you go to school here in America, they used to do it when I was coming up, they used to teach us Roman numerals.
Yeah.
You know, your court systems, the way you have all the different judicial systems set up, guess what? You get it from Rome, sisters and brothers. Your Coliseum, your Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, which I was so happy when we got the team here back in the day. You know, and still, what's the name? Still get it from Rome. You see what I'm saying? All this stuff come from Rome, sisters and brothers. Because why? Rome is still ruling the world. The Pope of Rome, he's just that little horn. See, he's a different type of horn. Mm-hmm. All the other horns that was being mentioned about, they were dealing with warfare. They were dealing with taking you down physically. This little horn right here is having a war in your mind, taking you down spiritually. You see what I'm saying? That's why you got Sunday worship. Where do you think it come from? It come from the Mother Harlot. It come from Rome. Easter. The Lord said, remember my death, the Passover. What Rome tell you? Nah, we going to remember Easter. He said we going to remember December 25th. God tell you that certain things you can't eat. What Rome tell you? You can eat anything, just pray over. You understand? Because they getting you in your mind, sisters and brothers. It's just a matter of time before they start getting you physically. And this is why all the nations and stuff are starting to come together. The 10 nations that the Bible tells us, they start to come together, getting ready, because it's coming to a point where the Inquisition is getting ready to come back in power. See, now he ain't gonna just he's not gonna just tell you to do something and then walk away, and he ain't got no backup to enforce what he's saying. He gonna have these 10 military armies. Right now they call it the European Union. Right. Look it up. It exists today, sisters and brothers. It's like 20 that's going on. They said a few years ago it was 10, but you know, that may actually come to fruition, it may not. But we got to get it down to 10 nations, because the Bible says it's going to narrow down to 10 nations. It's called the European Union, sisters and brothers. And when they all get it together, when he say something, he going to say worship on Sunday. We're like, nah, I keep the Sabbath. For the send them boys, you got to die. Cut his head off. Because this is what the Bible, this little horn that the Bible's telling you about. That's why it said in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Like he understands the word. He know who the Israelites are. He know all this stuff. That's why when the Lord get back, he going to kill him with the spirit of his mouth and the brightness of his coming. He just going to take him out. He going straight to the lake of fire. Ain't going to be no judgment for him. We're going to read verse 24.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Mm-hmm. And he shall destroy wonderfully.
And he getting his power from Satan. They tell you that in Revelation 13. But it said what? But his power was going to be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully. Go ahead.
And shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
So who is he coming for?
He's coming for the saints.
Coming for the saints, sisters, brother. He's coming for the saints, and he's coming for the Hebrews especially. That's why Deuteronomy chapter 7 tells you, for thou and holy people, I've chosen you above all people upon the face of this earth. That's who he's coming for. That's why we get all up in arms and stuff. We see brothers getting killed in the street like dogs, and the police get away with it. Hey, man, they just getting us ready. They getting ready to get, because when it's going to be like when the Great Tribulation get here, it'll be chopping heads off, not just blacks, but the saints, period. And people going to go back to eating their cereal like it's just a part of the daily news. You know, you pick up the newspaper back in the day, you look at it, oh, something happened here, something happened here. You know, matter of fact, you look at the news in the evening. See somebody got killed, somebody drowned, and you just like, oh, man, that's messed up. You go back to eating dinner, don't pay no attention. That's how it's going to be when they start chopping heads off. Chopping heads off and go right back there. Oh man, you got to be headed. You know why? Because that's what we coming to. And they desensitized you, getting you ready for it. But he understands, that's why he's telling you what he going to destroy wonderfully. And he going to prosper and practice and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Now we starting to see all this stuff come to pass that was talked about in Genesis, where the serpent and the woman, they see going to be one against each other. You really going to see it at the end. Go to read verse 25.
And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
And we talking about witchcraft. Yeah. That's why I tell you about that image. You're going to have to bow down and worship that image. You're going to make that thing walk and talk. You're going to make fire come down from heaven. But remember, he get his power from Satan. Though. See, Satan made fire come down and destroy Job's family back in the day. That's why they ran in there and told him, hey, man, the fire that came down and burned him up. You know, you're reading in Job. Well, the same thing going to happen. It's just Satan back doing what he was doing back in the day. But it said, through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace, what he going to do?
Shall destroy many.
Right, that's how he going to get him. See, you don't believe in homosexuality. You a problem. You believe in keeping the Sabbath day. You are a problem. You causing too much trouble. We're going to have to kill you. That's why he's saying by peace he going to destroy many. Go on and read though.
And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes. But he shall be broken without hand.
That's right, because the Lord is going to kill him just by saying. But he going to be here when Jesus get back. That's who the prince of princes is. He said what? He gonna destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes. He going to stand up and fight against the Lord, try to fight against the Lord. Then it says what? He shall be broken without hand. All right, but go on and come back over to verse 10. All right, go ahead.
And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stepped upon them.
Talking about this little horn, because we saw in verse 9 that he waxed toward the pleasant land, which is Jerusalem. Then he said he waxed great even toward the host of heaven. That's the saints. Y'all, we the host of heaven. We the ones that represent the kingdom system, brothers. When the world see heaven, when the world see the saints, they look at us. All right? That's why when you're dealing with the word, you have family members that have issues and stuff. They don't call the people that have been in church all their life going on Sunday. They call the ones that's been keeping the Sabbath and being faithful with it. They were like, yeah, I know you know. You know what I'm saying? Because you represented all the way to the fullest. But he said, what? And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Verse 11, read that.
Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. Right,
so it said, yeah, and I don't know why we be saying, yea. We speak English. These brothers I love my son, but some of the other brothers be reading, they be saying that, yea. It's yeah. He magnified himself even to the prince of the host. Talking about when Jesus get back, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him what?
The daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
Right, go ahead and read verse 12.
And in hosts was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered.
All right, so now, the reason I read this right here, and I'm not going to read the article. Like I said, I got the articles on it. You can look at them if you want to. But right here it says he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. He's going to magnify himself all the way till Jesus get back, right? But it says here, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. So what sacrifice are we talking about? Well, everything is relative to taking place in Israel today. It got a lot to do with the Edomites over there. They call themselves Jews. Well, they trying to get a red heifer, which represents purification. When they kill it, they're going to be able to purify the priest, purify the altar, and all this type of stuff. And that's going to give them, in their mind, the permission to go ahead and start sacrificing animals. It's going to be a lamb in the evening and a lamb in the morning, sister and brother. And that's how it was back when the Israelites were actually doing it. They were sacrificing animals every day, twice a day. And this is what they're going to start doing, right? But if you notice what it says, if we still talking about this little horn, he going to come in and stop the daily sacrifice. All right? But the point is that I want to show you is that they actually looking forward to trying to get this animal so they can start the daily sacrifice. So this is the article that I have. I'm not going to read it once again. It's called Cattlemen Raising Historic Herd of Red Heifers in Israel. Because in order for them to start the daily sacrifice, they got to get a red heifer. Without no spots on her, she got to be completely red. And once they get it, they're going to kill that animal and they're going to start this daily sacrifice. And when they start this daily sacrifice, you can start your count to the Lord setting foot on this earth. That's another lesson called 2300 days. But this right here, this is actually an article that you can read on that. You can see how they bringing in, what is it called? Artificial insemination, I believe. Where they bringing in the heifers in and they're going to try to create it themselves. Because they can't get one without them. Say it again?
Like genetically modified.
That's exactly what they do. You know what I'm saying? In a sense, and they going to they trying to make it themselves. They trying to create this red hell for themselves so they can get this thing going. But these are the signs of the times. This is stuff you got to pay attention to. Like there is a lot of things that happens around us, but you better pay attention to Jerusalem and you better watch Rome. That's where you got to keep your eyes at, and also pay attention to all the different nations like Russia and Iran and China. Watch all that stuff, sister and brother, because that's very important as far as your salvation is concerned also. What else? So let's move forward. Let's go another thing. Let's go to Revelation chapter 11. Because he gonna magnify himself. And then, if you notice what it said, he gonna go into the pleasant land. He gonna go into Jerusalem. What he gonna do when he get to Jerusalem, sisters and brothers? He gonna go over there as if he God. And he gonna stand up in the temple and say that I am God. Everybody gotta worship him, and that's gonna start the great tribulation, all right? But in order for him to do that, they're gonna have to build a temple. So the people that call themselves Jews, they trying to get a temple built. See, they don't know that when they build this temple, that he gonna come over there and stand in. You see what I'm saying? But God telling us how this stuff gonna unfold before it even happens. When he get over there and stand in that temple, that's gonna start the great tribulation, sisters and brothers. And he gonna go take that temple from them. And he gonna make them stop sacrificing animals. And he gonna come over there with his 10 armies and say, we run the world. What you gonna do about it? Once he ain't gonna be able to run, though, is of course Russia and their allies. But Revelation chapter 11, go and read that at verse 1.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God.
Okay, so it's going to be a temple of God that's actually going to be rebuilt for the Lord when he get back to this earth. All right? So what John is seeing here in Revelation, he's saying that there's going to be a temple built. That's why I said, Rise and measure the temple of God. Go ahead.
And the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, for it is given unto the Gentiles.
Okay, so, but there's another temple that's going to be measured that the Lord is telling John about where this vision, leave it out. That's going to be given to the Gentiles, whether European or we know them as white folks. But they're the one that's running the world right now. And essentially, when it's all said and done, the Pope is the one that's representing the Gentile dynasty. He's at the last part of the European or the dynasty of the white man, in other words. All right. So what he's saying here, don't measure that. That's what they're gonna take. All right. So he said what? But the court which is without the temple, leave out. Don't measure this particular place, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. Go ahead and read.
In the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
Right, yeah, that's kind of tricky, ain't it? Mm-hmm. So he said, in the holy city shall they tread underfoot for 3.5 years. That's what 42 months is, right? But the point is that what John is seeing a temple that they're going to build for the Lord, right? Which when Jesus gets back, he's going to rule from Jerusalem, all right? But the people in Israel today, they want to build a temple. But God even know where they're going to put it at. So he's saying this particular plot right here, don't measure this. They're going to put a temple over here. And once they put a temple over here, they're going to run the world. The Pope going to run the world from this temple for 42 months, for 3.5 years. All right. What I want to show you is that in order for this temple to be built, more than likely what's going to happen is Palestine wants to become its own state. All right, and the Jewish people, they want a temple. So in order for this to happen, the Pope gonna have to make this thing happen. He gonna do it by peace. In other words, the whole conversation is about peace. So what we gonna do is Palestine, we let y'all become a state, and y'all let us get that temple. And that's essentially what's gonna happen. They're not gonna build on the Dome of the Rock, but the point is that the conversation has been going on for a long time. It's starting to pick up now to the point where they're starting to raise money for the temple. You know what I'm saying? What else? They're trying to raise money for the Temple Institute. They're trying to vote. On, matter of fact, a lot of different nations already recognize Palestine as a state. It's only a few nations that don't recognize them as a state. All right? But they're trying to get their statehood, and it's going to happen soon, sisters and brothers. Once they get their statehood, the fake Jews can start building that temple. All right, so this is all in the Bible. This is what Revelation is telling you about. I have the articles on it. One of them is called Italy, the vote on recognition of Palestinian statehood. Italian Democratic Party says it will back motion as Israeli embassy in Rome says any premature recognition would only encourage Palestinians not to resume talks. So they try to have this conversation, sisters and brothers. They want this temple to actually be built, and they're going to get it soon. Let's see here. What else we got? Here's another article. And here's stuff y'all can look at. They already got the altar rebuilt. Because, see, in order for them to start sacrificing animals, they don't need to rebuild the temple. But when they sacrifice the first animal, you can actually count 2,300 days until Jesus set foot on this earth. All right? That's all you need to know right now. Because we got classes on that. But I'm just saying, all the stuff is here. Altar Jewish Holy Temple rebuilt. They're working on getting the temple done. They even got the doggone, what is that? It's where you can see it in 3D. Where you can actually see the temple, you know, how not the foundation, almost like the blueprints in a sense. But they have it online where you can walk, they take the camera all through the temple and stuff. What is it?
Like a virtual tour?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Like a virtual tour. You can walk through, you know, they show you how it looking. So they're getting ready. They show you, they got the vessels and everything ready to go. So it's here, sisters and brothers. And that's what I want you guys to pay attention to. That's why this is called Signs of the Time. But now let's go a little bit further. I got all these articles, and I'm doing y'all a favor and myself a favor when I'm reading all this stuff. But it's gonna be here for y'all to come read it if you want to. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I ain't reading it all. All right. So Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. We're almost done, y'all. Daniel chapter 11. Just show you these last three right quick. That'll be it. Daniel chapter 11, go and pick this up at verse 41.
He shall enter also into the glorious land.
Now, we're still talking about this little horn, right? Mm-hmm. He said he's going to enter also into the glorious land. And what else?
Many countries shall be overthrown.
Many countries going to be overthrown. Keep reading.
But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape.
All right, and one reason why, let me just make sure we understand why it's telling you here that it says here, he shall enter also into the glorious land, talking about this little horn. He going to enter in Jerusalem, okay? Because ultimately, when it's all said and done, the Pope gonna rule from Jerusalem for 3.5 years. All right, the Great Tribulation is not 7 years, it's 3.5 years. That's where he's gonna rule from, all right? He's gonna enter also into the glorious land, and many countries gonna be overthrown. But what? Read that again, the last part right there. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom
and Moab and the chief of the children of Ammon.
Right, so there's a land outside of Israel, outside of Jerusalem. All right, right behind it. You know, this is where the Lord gonna hide the church at. Edom, Moab, and Ammon. That's a landmass where they are today. But this is where the church gonna be hid at during this time. This is where the Lord gonna hide the saints. That's why he's gonna take many countries, but he's not gonna take Edom, Moab, and the chief children of Ammon. All right. As a matter of fact, Isaiah chapter 16. Go there right quick. Isaiah 16. It will come right back. Isaiah chapter 16. And I'm just showing you because I don't want to say that, you know, that's why he's not gonna take them down because the Lord gonna hide the church there. The Bible says. Isaiah chapter 16, and pick that up at verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness. Unto the mount of the daughter of Zion.
Right, this lamb we're talking about is Jesus. He says, send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness, because before Jesus get back and go to Mount Zion or Jerusalem, he going straight to the wilderness first. That's why he's saying here, send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness, unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. So he coming to the wilderness first, then he going to the Mount Zion. Go to read verse 2.
For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon.
Go ahead.
Take counsel, execute judgment, make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide the outcast, bewray not him that wandereth.
But notice what it's saying here. For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab, when we saw Moab and what's the name, right? It told you Edom, Moab, and Ammon, right? Over in Daniel chapter 11. These are the ones that the Pope not going to be able to take, but now it's telling you why. He said, for it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. Take counsel, execute judgment, make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. He said, make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide the outcast, berate him, or don't turn him back that wander. Go ahead and read verse 4.
Let mine outcast dwell with thee, Moab, be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler.
Right, because this is where Israel is going to be hiding. This is where the church is going to be hiding. They're going to be hiding in Moab and Ammon, all up in that area outside of Jerusalem. All right, before the Lord returns. This is where he's going to set the church at during the time of the Great Tribulation. See, the Lord ain't got to sneak us up off the earth nowhere and rapture us off. Like people like to say, well, the Lord going to rapture the church off before the Great Tribulation. And we just going to sit there and watch all the hell take place on earth. That don't make sense. He didn't take Noah off the earth. He didn't take Lot off the earth. Why he going to take his church off there? Nah, he just going to put you in the land, man. You know, somewhere on the outside of Jerusalem, which is where Edom, Moab, and Ammon are located. That's why he's saying, let my outcasts dwell with thee, Moab. Be thou covert to them from the face of the spoiler, for the extortion is at an end. The spoiler cease, the oppressors are consumed out of the land. But in verse 3, he said, what? Make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. It's going to be bright outside, and they still ain't going to be able to touch the church. That's why Psalms chapter 9, I think, not 110, if I'm mistaken, to tell you how you going to, 10,000 going to fall on your right, 1,000 on your left, 10,000 on your right, going to come near you. Tell you how you're going to watch the arrow fly. You're going to put it this way. The Lord going to have us in the wilderness. We're going to be sitting there watching the destruction that he brings to this earth. It ain't going to be able to come near. 10,000 on your right, 1,000 on your left ain't talking about right now. No weapon formed against me shall prosper is not talking about right now. It's talking about during the time of the Great Tribulation. He going to put his church in the wilderness and ain't nobody going to be able to touch it. All the missiles going to be flying all over the world. Ain't nothing going to hit this spot. Because he's going to have his angels protecting the church like he did back during the old time when he brought him out of Egypt. All right? So now let's go back to Daniel. Just wanted to show you that. Daniel chapter 11. Go back over there. Because I want to show you, what I'm really trying to show you here is the nations that's going to come up against them and how they get prepared now today. Daniel chapter 11, go and pick it up at verse 44.
But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him.
Therefore
he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make away many.
Now he going to get into the land, right? Once he get into the land, it tell you, now we still talking about the Pope. When he get into Jerusalem, he going to take down many countries. But tidings out of the east and out of the north going to trouble him, sisters and brothers. And what we talking about north and east of Jerusalem. Well, in other words, northeast. But when you look on the map, northeast is, we talking about Russia. And all their allies below them, Iran and China and all of them, these guys are going to trouble him. So I just want to show you today what's going on regarding that. And I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to read the headline so you can read the article yourself. It says Britain's top NATO commander today warned that current tensions with Russia represent whatever threat, EXISTENTIAL. I'm not going to say it. You say it. It represents a great threat, I suppose, to our whole being. It could escalate into all-out war. Then it goes into Russia and China and stuff like that. One part of it talks about how Russia, when practiced with China. This is recent. This is like a year or two ago, and they have one of the largest military. It says that Russia's nuclear missile force staged a large-scale exercise across a vast country. So that's what they get prepared for. While we preparing to go to church tomorrow and pass out our money and stuff like that, the world is preparing for war. We wonder why we get all the social programs moved out, where everybody want to cut EBT and make it even worse for the poor man. But at the same time, we got money for warfare. Because when it's all said and done, that's really what's coming, sisters and brothers. All right, but you can read this stuff to verify on your own. Now let's go a little bit further. I have it all up here. Let's see here. Let's go over to what's next? I gotta find my sheet. What is it? All right, go on to 2 Peter. I gotta find my word. Class. 2 Peter what? 1? Huh? 2 Peter 3? Okay, here it is. 2 Peter chapter 3. Because like the Bible, the generation that witnessed these accounts, sisters and brothers, it tells, we going to see the coming of the Lord. Yeah. Now, I know years ago we should say it, or we might have heard it, where we going to see God come back, the Lord is on his way back. Listen, we are in this generation where we actually starting, this stuff is happening right before our eyes. And the Lord's going to tell us that, hey, the ones that see this generation ain't going to pass until all this stuff is fulfilled. So we in it right now, sisters and brothers. All right, so go and read 2 Peter chapter 3.
Knowing this first, that there shall come
you in verse 3? Pick it up at verse 3.
Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Right, so and it's almost like that with the mind of man today. Ain't nothing happened. Everything been going on. Y'all been saying the Lord's gonna come back forever. So, why should I believe any different? It's the same thing going on. But he's saying, knowing this first, that there should come in the last days scoffers walking after their own lust. And get to a point where we don't believe what the Bible says. We don't care. Ain't nothing happening. And ain't nothing gonna happen. Go ahead.
And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Right. So hey, now I heard it from my grandparents, and some of my grandparents have passed, and I heard it coming up as a kid, and hey, they done fell asleep, and things are still moving on, sister and brother. Ain't nothing changed. But with God, his time ain't the same as ours. They saying, where's the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. Verse 5.
For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished.
And we read about that back then, right? We read about how the world back then, during the time of Noah and them, hey, the Lord got upset. Once that sin got crazy, and he came down and, it came up to him, what he did? He flooded it. He flooded the world, sisters and brothers. Which is what we read about. He said, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water perished. Verse 7.
But the heavens and the earth, which are now.
And that's what we know. That's what we understand. The heavens and the earth, which are now at this particular time, which are now by what?
The same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men.
Right, so it ain't reserved unto water like it was last time. It's reserved unto fire. That's why I'm telling you, but the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. Go on and read.
But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day.
That's right. So we're not on the same time frame, in other words. The Lord don't deal with a day as far as 24 hours is concerned. A day to the Lord is 1,000 years. So he coming. He gonna do what he said he gonna do. But at the same time, he don't want to kill everybody. He trying to give people a chance. He say, beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. Verse 9.
The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness.
That's right. So to us, it may not seem like he's moving fast enough or it ain't going to happen. But he said he's not slack concerning his promise. Go ahead and read.
But is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
And that's really what this is all about. Like the Lord ain't taking pleasure in the death of the wicked. He's trying to give mankind a chance, sisters and brothers. So he's telling you here what? He's not slack concerning his promise that some men count slackness, but is long suffering to us, Lord, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. Why though? Verse 10.
But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night.
And it shouldn't come as a thief in the night to us if we're dealing with the word. If you constantly paying attention and paying attention to the sign. If you're not paying attention to the sign, it's going to come like a thief in the night, sisters and brothers. That's why this class is important. It's the sign of the time, the current events. You have to watch what's happening around you so you can kind of measure the time frame of, where we are. He said what? But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, and what?
In the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat.
That's a mad heat. The elements going to melt with fervent heat. What else?
The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up.
Turn over to Matthew chapter 24. This is the last one. Matthew 24. All right, pick it up at verse 32.
Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When its branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh.
That's right. Now, and really in the Bible, you only got two seasons, winter and summer. But for the sake of us and understanding, around springtime, you start seeing the leaves come back a little bit, the figs start coming. You know that summer is nigh. You know that soon is when it start getting hot outside. All right after winter time. And he's saying here, Lord giving you a parable here. He said, learn the parable of the fig tree. When its branch is yet tender and put forth leaves, you know that summer is not. Because in the wintertime, everything's dead. There ain't no leaves out there, nothing like that. But, as summer started getting ready to roll around, everything started coming back. All right, but go ahead and read verse 33.
So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door.
And that's what that's what the Lord was saying regarding his return. Likewise, when you start seeing all this stuff that we read about today, know that the end is near. It's even at the doors. It's closer than you thought it was. He said, likewise you, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Go ahead and read verse 34.
Verily I say unto you.
This means truly. Truly I say unto you what?
This generation shall not pass till all things be fulfilled.
Right, he said this generation ain't going to pass until all this stuff come to pass. See, we in it right now. We done start witnessing this stuff start unfolding. So this generation ain't going to pass until it be fulfilled. Now, we wonder we going to run another 100 years. No, man, we here. We here, so some of us going to actually live to see the coming of the Lord. The coming of the Lord, sister. Ain't like it was 45, 50 years ago when we just kind of speculated. Nah, we in the signs. We can see this stuff coming. And that's what the Lord is saying. He said, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. All right, we're going to read.
But of that, 35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.
That's right, go ahead.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Oh, so we back to it again. That's where we started off at, right? We right back to it again. He said, what? But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Even on the hearts of men continue. Go ahead and read.
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came, and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Right, so skip down to verse 42 and read that.
Watch therefore.
Oh, so you got to watch though, right? Like you got to pay attention to the signs. Spiritually, you need to watch. You got to pay attention. Like I say, earlier, we ain't trying to, make light of the situation and what took place in Wisconsin and stuff like that. But, you use that stuff right there to gauge where we are. You pay attention to that. That's why I'm telling you got to watch. Watch therefore what?
Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come.
That's right. And he could come for you at any time. So you got to always be on God's system, brother. Go ahead, verse 43.
But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up.
That's right. If you know a thief coming, you're gonna be sitting up there waiting on him. Most of us got some heat. We're probably gonna be ready to burn him up soon as you come to that door. But the point is, you're gonna be waiting on him. You ain't gonna just let him come in your house like that. You know, well, hey, you got to be waiting on this, right? You got to be watching what's going on right now. You know, so you don't get caught off guard, sisters and brothers. All right, go and read that.
Therefore be ye also ready.
So likewise, you know, you need to also be ready for what?
For in such an hour as ye think, not the Son of Man cometh.
So he said, therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man cometh. All right, so I hope somebody got some understanding. In Jesus' name, y'all can read the rest of it on your own. That's it. Now we have the announcement. All right.
Our prayer is that the eyes of your understanding were enlightened by today's lesson. The following is the dress code for our services. All clothing shall be modest in appearance, nothing tight-fitting, overly baggy, sagging, or revealing should be worn. Men are to remove hats and all head covering, and women should wear a head covering, such as a hat or scarf, according to 1 Corinthians 11, verses 1 through 7. If your child becomes noisy during the lesson, distracting other members, please remove him or her to the lobby area. Any tithes and or free will offerings should be put in an offering envelope and placed in the offering box near the podium. Please tune in to Thy Kingdom Come television program, which airs in various locations. If you feel you are ready to be baptized, please sign the baptismal list at the podium or speak with Brother Jediah or Brother Nate. Also, join us for question and answer Bible study in about an hour from now and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via live stream and or a teleconference at 712-432.
We got a new conference number. We got to change the announcement. We got a new conference number, so we'll get the new one out.
DVDs and CDs of the lessons are available. Please place your order in the offering box along with your donation and pick up your DVD or CD up at the podium next Sabbath. Pray for our strength as we pray for you. Until next Sabbath, peace.
Peace. Please. All right, well, we're going to go and close out and hang out for a little bit. As you know, I'm staying in town for a few days. And Brother White will be here till tomorrow also. So we can hang out a little bit, fellowship, and get in the word, deal with some question and answer. But we just eat a little bit. And about 45 minutes, we'll open up the question and answer. All right, so until then, let's just go and close out. And the clothing drive is next week. Keep Brother Will in your prayer. I'll keep my family in prayer also. My brother just gave me some news yesterday. He might have colon cancer. Brother Julie's mother. And the saints, y'all keep the saints in prayer. Anybody else in here need prayer? Julie. Pray for everybody. Yes, sir. I keep everybody in prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. Praise the Lord. For he is good. And his mercy endures forever. Praise the Lord God of Israel. For he is good. And
and his mercy endures forever.
And his mercy endures forever.
In Jesus' name we pray.
In Jesus' name we pray.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
The King of Kings.
King of Kings.
Lord of Lords.
Lord of Lords.
The one true God.
The one true God.
And there is no other.
There is no other.
Amen.
Amen. The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee.
And be gracious unto thee.
And be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee.
And give thee peace.
And give thee peace.
They shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
They shall put my name upon the children of Israel.
And I will bless them.
And I will bless them.
Hallelujah.
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 In Jesus.
In Jesus' name. Amen. So again, we're about to make lunch. Sit down. Sit down. You get no sandwiches in, man? Brother, you out here already? All right. Good day.
Potato salad?
Potato salad. All right.